about
your
myself.
team.
Don't say nothing. Don't talk
Let's
about.
talk about how
I shit on
your
myself.
team. Let's talk about how your team, Justin. No. Let's
Yo,
talk about
what's
how
up?
your team. No.
What is up, guys?
Let's talk about how your team scammed my team out of a win. Let's talk about that. Let's talk
I
about
don't think we scammed you out of a. We didn't scam you guys out of a win.
All right, let's move on. If you're gonna lie,
We didn't scam you out of a win.
Move on.
We can talk
Move
about.
on.
We can talk about. We can talk about it later. We can talk about it later. Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to the first week of the regular season of the Hoopster Podcast. My name is Casual. As you can see, we got Daryl here, we got Rod here, we got Zeno, and we have a special guest. We got a special guest, Marcus Atkinson, a writer for the Washington Wizards. And we just gonna go ahead and get into it. Hi, how you doing, Mr. Atkinson?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Oh man, can't complain at all, man. Real quick, we're going to divert just for a quick second because I want to talk to Zeno. Damn it, Zeno, you gotta let this go. Okay, it is not a challenge for you to understand that the Philadelphia 76ers are just not that good. They're not.
Yeah. You're right. Just how we was somehow in that game throughout the whole time, but
because of lapses out of Milwaukee's offense. But make no mistake, you guys were struggling to get a bucket for much of that entire game. And to be honest with you, Dame was on a tear throughout the entire game.
No, from the free throw line. From the free throw line, yeah.
No, it wasn't just from the free throw line. It wasn't just from the free throw line. So he wasn't knocking down like critical threes.
Critical free. I do agree with that. To be fair, he played really well. He played really well. And even though Kelly Oubre Jr. was actually guarding him very well, in my opinion, he was just able to make tough shots over the top.
Yeah,
that was one of the biggest issues. But yeah, what I'm saying is against us, he shot 4 for 12. But
Do you think that
from free? I meant.
So 2 questions. Do you think that Dame is that's like a sign of what Dame is going to be throughout the whole season, or you think that was mere coincidence that he was getting to the free throw line that often?
Well, 17 free throws is insane. If you get to the free throw line 17 times, it would be I don't know how to explain to you. Like, that's probably one of the best free throw grifters we've ever seen. So I'm thinking he's gonna be more of like a 10 to 11 a game free throw player, but that's still a lot, especially with his efficiency from three and also his ability to get downhill with Giannis being with him. So that's I do not think he's gonna be 11, but I don't think he's gonna be 13, but I think 11 should be fine for him. Generally do.
Marcus, what do you think about that game?
Very interesting game. One of the things that stood out to me is, like you said, like Milwaukee, they had like moments where they were kind of trying to figure it out offensively, and that's what made it scary. Because I mean, you had Kelly Oubre going off, Embiid did his thing, but it was the fact that Milwaukee was still trying to figure things out, and Philly just couldn't get separation. And so I just feel like that game was like, okay, look, Milwaukee got a lot of things to figure out. Once they figure out who's going to really beat them, that's kind of my take from it.
Yeah, because Giannis didn't even play well offensively.
Yeah,
he did not play well offensively. But defensively, y'all saw that steal he got on Embiid. Your goal.
We're gonna talk about Giannis anytime he came to seeing Embiid in the paint. What happened? We're gonna talk about that.
You want to talk about anytime?
No. Let's talk about what's going on with the Clippers. That's what we should talk about. What's going on with the Clippers? Because ew.
That's it.
That's the best you got. Ew. Dude, I watched that game with the Jazz, and I was like, what is this team? What are they doing? On paper, they're the better team, but they're not playing like a better team at all.
Agreed.
The only person on that team that looked like he was playing to his caliber was PG-13. That's it. You barely saw Kawhi do anything. Westbrook was crying for calls as always. Like, what?
I do want to say, though, you just come in here and you hate on me. What's going on? Oh, wait, no, never mind. You're not hating on me.
Who's hating on you?
And Jokic,
Man,
talk about
that,
Sage.
so we got a super chat from Sage that said they barely beat the Raptors, which I totally agree with. The fact that Joel Embiid dropped like 38,
34,
and
tied with Maxey.
34 and eight assists and 9 rebounds, and they barely and Tyrese Maxey dropped 34 as well, and they barely beat the Toronto Raptors. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. And it wasn't like Pascal was holding them again. You guys were struggling to beat Dennis Schroeder led Toronto Raptors. I'm sorry.
You mean Scotty Barnes, boy?
No, Dennis Schroeder had the best game.
Scotty Barnes.
Hey Rob, what did we tell them? What did we say about Dennis Schroeder before the season started?
I want to speak on that no more because every time I say it, Justin over there be looking like, nah, he ain't that.
He's a fraud.
But he over there giving him his flowers right now.
He's not a starting caliber point guard. That being said, the Philadelphia 76ers are not championship contenders right now. They need some time to get used to the situation they're in. Talk about how Jokic is destroying OKC right now. Oh, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
but he has Chet Holmgren. He has Chet Holmgren guarding the best player in the world. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, all right. We're going too far into the basket. All right, so I got questions for you, Mr. Marcus. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Fire away.
All right. How did you become interested in writing about the NBA, and what inspired you to pursue a career in sports journalism? Actually.
Well, I wouldn't call it sports journalism. It's really more blogging. Basically, Bullets Forever, who I write for, and it's basically a fan site. Really, for me, I have a passion for basketball, but just as Daryl mentioned, I coach as well. And so for me, I've been following the Wizards my whole life. And I just started going up there and just started writing. And the editor kind of took interest in some of the things that I wrote and decided to hire me onto the staff, and that really kind of kicked things off.
Okay. No, the what made me want to ask that question is just like the guys up here will tell you. Anytime we have a guest on, I always am fascinated with like the thought process of how you specifically, like, what's your story on how you fell in love with NBA talk. You know what I'm saying? Because like everybody has like a fascinating story on how they fell in love with basketball. You know.
Yeah, very, very true. I will tell you, I've worked with a lot of different people there, and everybody kind of has a different path. I say mine is a little bit different than everyone else's. I'm really like a basketball purist, like basketball coaching. I've played things like that, but you know, some of the other writers, they have gone on to do big things. Like we got one who started with us, but now he writes for USA Today. Got other ones that go and write for other publications, just local publications, cover different teams. So it's a great platform, you know, especially anyone that's an aspiring journalist. But I like it because it's an opportunity to talk about something I'm passionate about and love. And like I said, I come from more of a coach perspective. So I like to break down what's going on and try to help people understand what I'm seeing out there.
Okay. All right, and then because we definitely going to tap into your coaching side today. But I got one last question before we start to get into the we will not respect the Sixers. Yeah, you should stop asking. Yeah, we won't do that. No, so I got one last question, and then we're gonna go ahead and spearhead into these conversations. Can you describe your typical day? As you know, as one of the guys that talks and coaches basketball on a daily basis.
So yeah, a lot of what I do basketball wise is really with the youth sports. We're here in the Northern Virginia area and DC area, and a lot of things that we do is really trying to build up the basketball community in Northern Virginia. We have a rec basketball league here. We work with boys and girls from ages 8 to 18. We work on just developing their basic skills because there's a lot of kids down here in this area. They play different sports, soccer, football, whatnot, you know. And so basketball isn't quite as big here. I'm from PG County in Maryland, and I mean, basketball's king there. We got football, but you know, basketball is king in PG. And so, now that I'm living here, raising my family here, I want to build that basketball community up. So myself and like Daryl said, his dad, I work with him, and we just try to build a basketball community just by working with these young kids. Some of them have never played basketball before, and just kind of work through just the fundamentals, just getting them prepared for playing for the middle school or their high school. And then, beyond just the youth sports, I cover the Wizards whenever I can, do some analysis. Like last night, I did a recap for the game on the website. I'll write articles here and there for the team, and just try to give fans insight on what's going on with the team.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Go ahead, man.
Being a basketball coach, how do you feel AAU has impacted the game? Negative or positive?
That's a
I
good question.
love this question. I love this question.
That's a good question.
So like I said, I'm rec, right? So I have seen just not even basketball, just general sports, travel sports have taken over. Soccer is the same way, football is the same way. To me, what's happened is AAU has become glamorized as this thing that everybody wants to have. The one thing I don't like here is that everybody feels like their child has to be on the AAU team, and has diluted the product. Like, we got kids. I've had some kids I've coached, and they're like, "Hey, coach, I'm gonna miss a game this weekend because I got AAU tournament." I'm looking at them like, "Why are you on the AAU team?" You know what I mean? Like, there's some kids that I don't think they benefit. I think AAU has its purpose, and I think that there are some good programs out there. So I don't want to disparage every single AAU program, but I think too many people use it as a platform to try to highlight their kids and get their kids some shine. In reality, they really just need to work on the basics, and they may not be that player that really should be in that platform. I think AAU has its purpose. Those exceptional players that are just above and beyond the rest, those are the ones that should be there. The ones that are just being pushed in now, it's completely diluting it. It's taking away the purpose of what it was originally for.
I agree with you. I think we talked about this a lot, Rodney, in our early days in the pod. We were talking in the podcast was about how important is the AAU rise as far as the detriment to young players aspiring to make the NBA. Their quality of basketball knowledge sort of got diminished a little bit to be more like cookie cutter, so that they could be, your standard 6'9", the next KD. So rather than them focusing on developing more of a well-rounded game, they want to be like the person that they see on the past highlight or the highlight before that. My question to follow up that, and Rodney knows exactly what I'm going with this. He knows exactly where I'll go with this. What would be the solution to, sort of getting back to the basics of developing higher quality basketball with these young groups?
I think it starts with the people that are running the programs. They have to have the right mindset of what they want to accomplish. If it's just to make a little bit of money or notoriety, those are the people that are going to lead to having these problems with, the wrong players being put in these programs. That's one of the reasons why, for me, I like doing rec, because I get at the grassroots. Like, I get to get those kids that have never touched a basketball before and get to work with them and get to work on the basics. I feel like, having these coaches that have these more or less ulterior motives, or people run these AAU programs have ulterior motives, that has gotten away from the original goal and intent of a lot of these programs. And so I think really it starts those that have that mindset that they want to develop young players to learn the game the right way. Those are the ones that really need to stand up and start building programs around the country and getting these kids the opportunities to learn the game. Because right now we're seeing it with the NBA, and look at the FIBA and everything. The world has caught up to us. Like they got to figure it out. Like you go to different countries over in Europe, those players have caught up to us. We're supposed to be the ones that are dominating, basketball whenever we play internationally. But we have gotten so far away from the development of our young players, and it's largely because of who is doing the development.
Absolutely. I've been
totally agree.
yeah,
Totally
I
agree.
agree with this.
I've been sitting. Me and Daryl and Rod talk on the phone oftentimes about like stuff like this, and I always say that I think the main problem is the people that are starting like these programs. And I go back to when I was young. I'm 25, by the way. So by the time that I was like 14, I was well into like the AAU era after John Wall and Austin Rivers sort of made it popular to be on Ball is Life, and it sort of made their careers more elevated than they actually were. And so when I came into the AAU scene, I played for a team that strictly just wanted the money. He wanted the money and he wanted the attention that comes with possibly coming across this next big thing look type of kid, So he was just recruiting 6'10", 6'7", players that could look like they could dominate when in actuality they had no knowledge of the game. And so it benefited me from the standpoint of being in the AAU setting. It's impossible for you not to go up against higher talented players and for you to like test your skills up against them. But on the flip side, it hurts you because the recognition that you're promised by, those coaches or those people that start those teams, they're never truly there, because the fact of the matter is Ball is Life, plays like that, they'll find you. No one has a true connection to those type of brands, especially now. And so this logic that some of these coaches and owners of these teams are pushing of, if you join my team, I can get you on Ball is Life, like that is a lie. And in that sense, I think that is like probably the closest thing that I would say to like a crime, is selling these kids on playing multiple games during the off season to where they're more liable of hurting themselves. I would think, Rodney, tell me if I'm wrong or not.
It's not to me.
I was about to say, Daryl, tell me if I'm wrong or not. We had a whole debate about Zion Williamson and how him playing years of basketball, AAU and high school, put so much like damage on his legs that by the time he got to the NBA, he was already damaged goods.
We did talk about that, but we also, how I mentioned, like how you said they put pressure on the kids. I said it's more putting pressure on the parents, because the parents are the ones who pay for it. So it's about selling it to the parents, and these parents will go ahead and say, "Hey, Coach so and so, I talked to him. He said he can get you to the next level." Whereas you do have a couple parents who maybe know the game, but most parents, they don't really follow the game. They just follow what they hear. So there could be what one popular AAU program, I forget, was it DMV Elite? I think that's big up here. They're a popular program, but a lot of parents want to force their kids on that, club team because of what they hear without
See,
having them. Go ahead, Rod.
I'm not against being on club teams. I'm not against that, but
Let me get into the super chats in a second,
yeah, it's more of the fact that they're not teaching these kids anything. As a
Right.
ref, when I'm watching these kids, and this kid has been on an AAU team, but he doesn't play like a top talent. How is he on an AAU team? And I'm watching. I'm over here refing high school and middle school, and that's all you hear. And I'm like, but he doesn't have those types of skills. What are you guys developing? Nobody's developing, and that also goes with the parents. And I tell the parents the same thing. Yeah, he's playing well. This is what he can, hone in on this summer.
And
Working on dribbling, working on shooting from a certain distance. Like, there's so many different things that the coaches aren't trying. They aren't trying to teach them. They're just trying to win games, and it hurts these kids when they get to the levels that they need to have these skills.
Yeah.
That's going to push them to
And
these elite, these colleges or further, whatever.
and
And
what I
go
was
ahead,
going
go
to
ahead.
add to that too is which is why I think with you, Mr. Marcus, how I'm pretty sure the intention with EPWBA this off season doing the clinics is to develop all these kids who've never played the game or who have, but they need to develop the understanding of the fundamentals. So these clinics are to help them gather that information. So once the season starts, they can already have it practiced and be up to date where we won't see like when EPWA first started, you could tell who was the talented kid and which kid just first started playing. You start to see a mixture of, hey, all these kids either can really play or some of them know the basics to make it easier for the season and for the coaches to pick through like, who they want to put on their team. That way teams are even.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and a lot of these kids, they don't have access to training and guys that understand how to break down the fundamentals. And now it's kind of the idea behind doing clinics like that. And that's what I hope. Hopefully, anybody listening, you're different parts of the country, that inspires you to go to your communities and start trying to do things like that as well. Because I mean, that's what we need more. Like these kids who really don't have the opportunities to just sit in the gym and just have someone just work with the basics with them. As a rec coach, I only get limited time with those kids. I've invited a few kids over to my house. I got a basket out in my front yard during the summer. I work with some. That's the extent of maybe the extra time. Most of the time is whenever we can get gym space. So to me, I feel like that's where it starts. Like getting in the gym, working those basics, not having this expectation you're going to play an AAU program or you're going to try to get somebody into a tournament or whatever. Like those things are detrimental to the development of these players.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. All right, guys. So before we move on to the next topic, we're gonna go ahead and get into these super chats real quick. All right, so Sage, where should we end off? Where Sage said Giannis is just an offensive fraud. I mean, I don't think he's an offensive fraud because we already knew that. We already knew he wasn't that good on the offense outside of like transition. Although I will say. There was a possession where he was demanding the ball in the post. He got it. Double team came, and he knew to immediately like spin off baseline and got him a great dunk. So I see the development of him working with Hakeem, him getting like skill sets like that. That being said, though, this year he is still not that good offensively. But like all around, like. This is still the
Wait,
second best player in the world. Like, what are we doing? So
wait,
yeah, hate if you
you
want to.
said Giannis got double teamed and he came out of it with a bucket and not a turnover. Man, who
Mm,
does that remind me of?
um,
Mm.
I
Oh, you
don't know.
quiet today.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Zeno, you quiet.
Oh, Joel Embiid? Oh shit!
What? What's going on?
Oh,
What's
Joel
going
Embiid
on?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I gotta mess with you, Zeno. I gotta
Yeah,
mess with you, man.
yeah, Zeno.
My
Yeah,
dog.
Giannis got double teamed and he didn't turn over the ball. Who
That's
can't do
crazy.
that? Who can't do that?
Apparently, Embiid can because he had 8 assists on only one turnover.
Man, that was against Toronto.
It don't matter. It's in the
Okay, yeah.
NBA. Stop doing that. We gotta stop doing that. We have to stop doing
Toronto.
that.
Wait. Toronto is actually not a good defense.
No.
It don't.
They're fantastic.
They are an NBA team. We gotta stop doing that.
No, Rodney. I swear, if it was up to Mr. Casual over here, you would think Embiid could not touch the ball without it slipping through his hands. He can't even grab the ball.
That's
the ball
not.
will
No,
slip.
don't
That's
do
what it would
that.
make
Don't
sound,
do
because
that.
there is no way this grown ass man is trying to say that Embiid cannot play make without turning the ball when he already had an efficient playmaking game.
So
against
did,
I was
Like,
just saying
no,
that
no.
him being double teamed, he don't pass out the double team. He just
oh
tries to make
no,
a
no,
bucket, but don't make the bucket and turn it
he's
over. That's what I was saying.
yeah, he does most of the time more likely try and force the shot than he does playmate, but he's gotten better. At least this season,
He's gotten better. He's gotten better as a even in the Milwaukee game. There was instances where I saw him be more open to the idea of waiting, being patient, and passing out of the double team rather than.
That's good coaching,
huh?
That's good coaching. Not
that is good. That is good coaching. That's good coaching.
Elbow.
Hold on, give me 1 second. What?
You kind of want to mute your mic, my guy.
No.
Going back into super chats.
Yes.
What's that? Sports PSP. Thoughts on Derek White from the Celtics?
Yeah, that first game he had, I think it was against the Knicks, showing out really well.
The second game against the Heat, he went off 28, 6 and 3. Like
was it the Heat or the? I thought it was the Knicks. I'm talking that he went 28 for. Let me check. Yeah, you're probably right. But yeah,
it was against the Knicks that he dropped 28.
He also dropped 28 against Miami.
The Heat he did the 28.
Yes,
and he had like two or three blocks, right?
Mm-hmm. He had 3 blocks, 1 steal, 3 assists, 6 rebounds, 28 points on efficient shooting. Yeah, I mean, Derek White has been one of the best guard defenders in the league for the past 3-ish years. Actually, to be honest with you, in San Antonio, he was quite underrated there, but it's because of the fact he's in San Antonio, so no one really picked up on that too. He's also shown that he's still a good distributor of the ball. He's good playmaking wise. And then when you need him to score and actually be efficient from the behind. Hey, thank God. Thank you. Thank you for understanding. Sorry, let me go back to what I say. My fault.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. Derek White for the last 3 years has been quietly the best rotational guard in the league. There, I said it. Barring a starting caliber player, bumping him out of his spot, Derek White as a rotational piece has been the best guard choice you could possibly go with.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, Sage, you wild for that, bro. You wild.
He says start bench cut, J Kidd, Nash, and CP3.
Go read what Carla said. Go read what say what's it?
Hold on, give me
Nash, Ben, CP, and Kidd isn't making the tryout.
So rude. That's so rude to J Kidd.
Kidd isn't making the tryout.
To be fair, that is
disrespect, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, all right. What you'll come to find out very, very soon, Marcus, is we don't give proper value to these players that did more than just score. You know, we don't care for that. Did they get the buckets? Did they tween? That's the question. That's the question.
You look at his face. He's like, what the hell is he talking about?
Did he?
No, Marcus. No, this is why me and Daryl are here, Mr. Marcus. This is why me and Daryl are here to get them back on actual basketball.
Did he fillet around the rim?
Did
he have a step back?
But back to the question: start bench cut, J Kidd, Nash, and CP3. I think as much as Sage was actually trolling, he actually has the correct order. I would have Nash first, CP3 second, and then cut Kidd. The main reason is, I'm going to be real with you, Nash and CP3 being able to stress defenses due to the fact that they're actually quality scorers. In Nash's case, he's shown that he can up his aggression in the postseason. Means that they're actually the team is forced to actually be worried about their scoring gravity. And then that also opens up their playmaking game. Nash being one of the best playmakers we've ever seen. CP3 is also another one. And I think that both of them are better playmakers than J Kidd. I do believe, though, that J Kidd kind of just clears them in defense. But what you get from Nash and CP3 from a playmaking and scoring standpoint, J Kidd just can't make up. And that's my opinion.
Yeah, that's why I would.
Come on, Mr. Marcus. No, be quiet. Mr. Marcus, come on. I see it in your face.
So a couple of thoughts I have. Because I think that one of the things that a lot of people will down Jason Kidd on is shooting, right? But towards the end of his career, he actually became a really good shooter. That's actually one of the reasons why he was able to become a really good player for Dallas Mavericks later on in his career. His 3-point shooting got a lot better. To me, and I can go on a whole diatribe about Steve Nash. I love Steve Nash, right? I love him. his defense was awful. Like, he is someone you can pick apart anytime on defense. I mean, and a lot of it is, he's smaller. He's not as athletic. I mean, CP3 is small too, but he can give you some defense, right? Nash doesn't give you anything on that end. And so as much as he is efficient and does well on the offensive end, I think that his efficiencies on defense brings him down a notch. To me, watching Jason Kidd's career, even at the beginning when he was taking the Nets to the finals a couple of times, and then, of course, he went with the Mavericks, he's shown clearly that he has the ability to lead a team and to be a important piece to a championship team, where Nash, he didn't even sniff the final. So, I mean, that's just something you got to think about.
I think that's...
Hold on real quick, Zeno. Hold that thought. Daryl, start bench cut, J Kidd, Nash, CP3. Go.
I'm starting CP3. Actually benching J Kidd and I'm cutting Nash.
Okay, Rod.
Okay.
Start bench cut, J Kidd, Nash, CP3. Go.
All right. So I'm a J Kidd fan. I'm a Nash fan. I love CP3 as well. But I hate to say this, I have to go with J Kidd at my floor general all day. Have to start him because I can run anything around him or with him. I can put mostly anybody on the NBA on his team, and it's a done conversation. He's going to get them a bucket if they can't get their own. And he, as Mr. Marcus said, at the end of his career, he became a better three-point shooter. The floor was so spaced out that he was just open half the time because everybody's worried about Dirk Nowitzki. Crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and bench CP3 because I do love the fact that he does play defense and his mid range is crazy. And I have to go with Nash. I love Nash, but the only thing he's given me is passing,
facilitating. That's it.
That's not enough with some of the guards that we have coming into the league, even past before him. Like, it's just not crazy. I can't do it.
Hold on real quick, Zeno. I just wanna know something real quick.
Why we cutting Nash? Is that what you want to know?
No. I got a question for Zeno.
I told you it was defense. That's why we cut.
Does he
Everybody over here said.
Does he know Zeno? Does he know Zeno?
I'm not answering this question.
On the wrong direction. I just want to point that out.
You sat here. I'm here trying to have this debate.
Yeah, you can have the conversation now. I just wanted to know, does he know?
But I just want to say, yes, I understand that J Kidd was later on in his career was able to develop a 3-point shot. But when we are talking about these conversations, I'm going in with the mindset of in their peak. Am I wrong to do so here? We
can say in their peak, and we still would go the fact that in Nash's peak, he was still never a defensive player or even capable of being good on defense.
But so there's nothing that he was transcendent offensively.
You're right. He's great. I can have another offensive player with a facilitator that can transcend and do the same thing he does.
Chris Paul does the same thing that Steve Nash does.
When
you did hear what
CP3 as an offensive capable player, CP3 when he was
he's an offensive capable player. No,
when he was with the New Orleans Hornets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, New Orleans Hornets was a killer. It's a reason why they did not want CP3 and Kobe together for a reason.
I'm with you 1,000%. But
it's a reason why everybody said no.
I get you. Do you understand how good Steve Nash, like on? I hate to do this, but on a 1 to 10 scale, Steve Nash's offense was a 10 in his prime, and it was for a long period. It was for a long period of time. He had a six-year stretch where he was leading some of the great. Was it 6 years or was it 5 years? Zeno, where he was leading some of the greatest like offensive
most of his years in the Suns. And also
I'm with you. I agree that he was really great offensively, but the game is not just built on the offensive side of the ball. If that was the
Actually,
case,
I would
we
like to
have
see
a half
as
court.
far as a point, I would like to just throw this bone out here as a point guard. You being like defensively great outside of like Jason Kidd's transcendent defense. It's really not moving me that much. I just want to throw that out there.
I know it doesn't move you because you're more of an offensive player.
Actually, no.
You put more stock on offense than you do defense. I know this about you. It's crazy. It's good. It's what
I had Giannis as a
opinion.
GOAT over. I had Giannis as the best player in the world. I had Giannis over Jokic for like the majority of like the last like 2 years. Even though Jokic was clearly the better offensive player because Giannis brought defensively. So no,
I literally had to sit here and argue with him about Giannis and Jokic even this year.
So like that doesn't work for me. But when I look at Steve Nash defensively being a liability is much easier of a cover up than, let's say, in Jason Kidd's case, him being an offensive liability on the offense on the half court setting. For the majority of his prime, he was not
majority. When we talk about peaks, he is an offensive in a half court, not the greatest because of the fact that he has no real go-to moves in the post. His ability to get downhill and finish at the rim wasn't the greatest for a guard. He wasn't even above. I wouldn't say he's probably above average, but he wasn't great in that time. He's not a floor spacer from three. He cannot shoot mid ranges that well. That's the reason why there was stages in his career that people called him Ace and Kid because he had no J. They literally called him Mason Kidd for a reason. So when you sit,
go ahead.
So when you're sat down here and we're talking about that prime now, so we have to remove the end of his career when he actually became a good 3-point shooter. He has no real offensive scoring ability that he can get to consistently. I just wanted to make sure I said it correctly because I was gonna say offensive. That's completely incorrect. His passing, I won't deny that. That's one of the skills that he has on offense that you cannot deny. He's one of the best passers that we've ever seen. And in my opinion, a top 10 passer. But when you're debating with someone who's a top 3 passer in Nash, who's also probably a top 3 playmaker, at least top 5 playmaker in Nash as well, while being a really good scorer, I think what he brings to the offensive end and the fact that, remember, guard defense is one of the easiest things to hide on the team because you can hide them with your wings, who's versatile and able to guard the other players' best guards. You have your shooting guard who can also do something like that. You have your small forward, your power forward who can do something like that, and the center is usually protecting the rim. So when you add all of those things all together, I feel like what Nash brings to your team offensively negates his poor comments on the defensive end. By the way, what Casual said earlier, him bringing every time you get into the in the postseason, that they always led one of the best offenses of all time.
Oh, Nash.
Nash is something that we need to understand. That's insane. It's not talking about for his time. He's talking about all time.
And by the way, outside when to his point about Nash being like arguably a top 3, after LeBron and Magic Johnson, it gets real finicky out here for as far as like who's a better passer than Nash. Just want to say that. Though Jokic may be in that conversation soon. But,
I still think it's argued between LeBron and Nash by
really
Jason Williams. White chocolate.
I knew Roger was going to say
You're
that.
a funny
man. Hey, that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite passes, dog.
You're a funny mother.
Nobody does passes like him, so just let that go.
Shit, Rajon Rondo could have. Anyway, all right, guys.
Did it? Could and didn't is a big difference here.
All right, we're gonna move on. Better power forward by Sports PSP. Better power forward, Chris Webber or Amari Stoudemire?
Chris Webber.
Chris Webber. Like it's
like why ask that question?
Not even debatable.
I don't think it's not that, and it's not that Amari Stoudemire wasn't a great player, but like Chris Webber in his prime offensively,
playmaking, his consistent mid-range shooting, and
his transitional play.
Like, exactly.
Yeah,
he's even better as a defender. There's literally not really much you can.
Yeah, it's not really much about.
Because Amari Stoudemire is bad defensively. So
Amari Stoudemire was a better rebounder, so we can give him that.
Was
In a
that
better
like a
lob
half a
threat.
point?
He was a better lob threat than Chris Webber.
Yeah, that's because he was more springy and just more athletic. That's
Yeah,
what
it's
you
like the
say.
Blake Griffin argument. All right, guys. The Sage says, "Thank God we didn't bring Stockton into this convo." Oh God. Somebody needs to have we need to seriously have like a huddle up with everybody. We need to give Sage like his show to where he can just hate on John Stockton for like an hour.
Is it that bad?
He hates John Stockton. He's
Good. Come on, Sage.
as we speak here talking, he is writing down 100 players that are better than John Stockton.
I promise you I promise you this guy has come to me in my DMs and said, "Yo, he has three. I have 300 players. Do you think there's 300 players better than John Stockton?" I started thinking, what? I was like, "Hey,
he is working on it." Actually, last time I talked about him, he's talking about putting J.R. Smith over John Stockton. So that should tell you
what?
John Stockton.
Oh my
God! All right. He also said,
"Let's move on. Let's move on."
Moving on, Sage.
He also said, "Casual stands the Greek fraud. We don't even know what team you're repping." So there you go. He said an hour isn't enough.
Moving
and
on.
he said he did not say JR. I could have sworn it was JR, but it was definitely a rotational piece that you were going to put over John Stockton.
It looks like he is a LA fan.
If he's an LA fan, I hate to break it to you, some of your LA legends are frauds in the playoffs. So, all right. Last thing from Sports PSP before we move on, because we got to move on.
We're going to move on before I go off.
Better defender, Kawhi or Pippen? I'm going to say Pippen. I think
I'm not going to put my point in this conversation. This is so arguable and debatable.
Yeah.
It's so interchangeable.
It depends on what you value. I value the fact that Pippen was consistently able to guard some of the best offensive players from not from half court, from full court consistently. Yeah,
but then I can sit there and ask you, what wings was he really guarding?
I didn't say wings. I said offensive players. So
fair enough.
Offensive players.
Marcus, what you got on it?
Yeah, what you got?
Oh man, this is a tough one. I'm gonna give it to Pippen for a couple reasons. First, the longevity, because Kawhi is super talented, but he can't stay healthy. He can't stay on the court.
Yeah,
and so that's one part of it. One thing that I would say too, and maybe he's a victim of the era and the times that he's playing in. Like Pippen guarded consistently, I would say 1 through 3, maybe even sometimes 1 through 4 in his time. Kawhi, I don't know if I've seen him consistently go out there and guard the other team's point guard. Or
he did. He did.
At times.
No, it was more Joe. It was whoever was the best offensive player he was guarding. Dame, Steph, didn't matter. Kawhi was probably guarding him.
I feel like, and this is where I don't want to dock him for this. I feel like this era is gotten away from players like him guarding the best player on the other team as often. And if Kawhi's on my team and I'm playing against Golden State, yes, he's guarding Steph Curry the whole game. But now it's like everybody's switching, and there's all different types of reasons why he's not necessarily on Steph. And so it's really hard to judge him and say, yeah, he's shutting down Steph, or he's shutting down Clay, or whoever he's going against. So that's the only thing I could kind of say there. It's just hard to say, he's done this consistently. But yeah, absolutely. He's great.
That's fair.
That's a fair. It's so difficult to do that in today's era because there's more than one on a team that can really score. Like back then when it was Pippen and Jordan, like those were the only ones that had 2 players that could really do whatever they really wanted to do on a court. It wasn't like Pippen was guarding Jordan. I mean, he was in practice, but that's why he was so good at guarding all these different players, because not many people were Jordan caliber players.
That's a fair point. I think that Zeno, would you say that Kawhi has been guarding more offensively gifted players than Scottie Pippen did in his era? Because the main, like during Scottie's prime, the main offensive weapon was on his team. Right? That nigga Zeno sleep.
I was gonna say he's asleep.
Hey,
Wow.
Oh,
no,
Zeno.
did you hear my question at all?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Dog, Zeno, you sleep.
Bro, that nigga.
No. I went downstairs. My fault. I didn't realize.
As we speak, we are currently working on getting him a better chair and a camera for us to monitor whether he's actually here.
Monitor is insane. Yeah,
No,
monitor me. I'm a grown ass man. What the hell?
I asked. Yes, you are. You are a grown ass man. All right. No, I had asked you, could you make the actual, like Rodney was talking about how the argument that could benefit Kawhi in this debate would be that Pippen didn't guard many offensively gifted players compared to Kawhi. Not saying that he didn't guard him at all, but he didn't guard him as much as Kawhi did because the main offensive beast that he played with was on his team.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Jordan, whereas Kawhi is guarding Dame, Steph, KD, LeBron James on a consistent basis. Could you say that that's an argument?
I would, yeah, and I also just push out more of the fact that when you realize that Pippen is either guarding down the position, meaning that he's usually stronger or bigger than the player that they're playing against, so it's easier for him to probably stay in front of them or either contest their attacks to the rim. While Kawhi is usually going against, when we say LeBron is a physical specimen. Being able to stay in front of LeBron and actually hamper his shot, going to the rim or his mid-range shot, it's much more harder. Then you also need to remember that he's guarding KD as well, which is essentially a 6'11" player masquerading as a small forward because of his fluidity. And you're telling me a 6'6", 6'7" forward is supposed to be able to deal with him, and yet Kawhi is able to deal with him with probably one of the best jobs that we've ever seen on KD. Outside of that Celtics series, Jesus Christ. So, and then you have stuff like
team
Steph
effort
as well.
That was a team effort.
Even Steph with his off-ball movement, constantly going through screens, Kawhi was able to deal with that with his good screen navigation. So he's even the fact that he's shown that he's been able to do all of that type of stuff with, in my opinion, much more offensively gifted talented players in this era compared to what's his name? Scottie Pippen. I think that's why I would give Kawhi that. But when it comes to longevity and the pure versatility, Scottie Pippen has it over Kawhi. So it's really up to you. And that's why I said I have no race in this conversation. I just don't want to be part of this. That's all.
No, that's fair. That's fair. As long as nobody said that Kawhi or Pippen clears the other, that's where the conversation gets nasty. Yeah. And then lastly, Sports PSP said like and subscribe to the pod.
Thank you,
PSP. Make sure whenever you guys get a chance, go check out his channel. He does every Friday or Saturday episodes talking about both NFL and NBA. And also the hottest topics as far as like the Will Smith situation with Jada Pinkett, which you stop doing my dog dirty. But all right. We're gonna move into this NBA season because boy, oh boy, is it not amazing that we finally have some NBA basketball to be able to talk about. We know more than anybody about how hard it can be to talk about the off season during the off season because it's only so much to talk about during the off season. Yeah. We had a whole damn channel built off of this shit, so we understand. But finally, we have stuff to talk about in week one. And what I want to get to talking about is I want to do a roundtable with you guys. I want to ask you guys which team has surprised everyone with their performance in the first week. Zeno, you start. Daryl, you're next. Rod,
of course, Zeno starts. Yep.
Marcus.
I'll start. You ain't got to start, Zeno.
I'll start.
Okay. Didn't forget you, Zeno. Daryl, you start. Rod, you're next. Marcus, you're next. And then Zeno, you're after.
Casual goes next, and I'll go last. Yes.
So I probably want to say one of the teams that actually has surprised me was and was actually Dallas, especially if I want to put out specifically more of Derek Lively's performance in their first game against San Antonio. Honestly, I know the hype train was on the Spurs, but the way Dallas performed in that game, if they can consistently play like that, especially how Derek Lively played, going up against who everyone's expecting to be the greatest, first round draft pick to ever come to this league, I think Dallas could actually make noise. Another team I want to say that you
Daryl,
know
sorry to
what
cut you off. Could you clarify what you mean by the first pick thing? I was confused.
no, because you hear NBA analysts been saying lately how Wimby is like the number one overall pick that is going to be like the greatest number one overall pick to ever play the game, right next to LeBron,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's what I mean by it. Um, Another team that surprised me, and this isn't a good surprise. This is a bad surprise, and it's honestly the Los Angeles Lakers because I was, especially, everyone who knows me, I'm a big Lakers fan. So I was definitely hyped during the offseason moves we made, but I wasn't happy about the last two game performances that the Lakers played. Against Denver, that was atrocious, especially from AD. If you're supposed to be what everyone is saying, the face of this team, you can't go 17 points in the first half and do nothing in the second half, especially if you guys feel like you're the better team than Denver. And then even in the Phoenix game, I was very disappointed in that performance because they weren't even healthy. They only had KD, and they made that such a hard game. But I'll give credit to Christian Wood in that game towards the end because they made the adjustment putting him on KD. So because of his length, that to make shots harder for KD, because KD could have easily put up 50 points if they did not make that adjustment. So those are the two teams right now that I'm surprised about this season.
You're on mute, my guy.
Yeah, you were on mute.
Who, me?
Y'all see what I be talking about
I
when I
didn't
be
say
saying,
anything yet.
No, not you, Rodney. We're talking
y'all
about.
see what I be saying when I be saying that Daryl just he be looking for reason to be concerned about his team. Like,
He's right to be concerned. You're playing just one All Star versus the three that's supposed to be out there on the court
bro.
with your whole team healthy.
So we're not going to add context to the Lakers. Like, for instance, the fact that none of us realized that LeBron James was going to be on minute restrictions, especially how hard the minutes restrictions are. We're not going to talk
Oh
about
no, I'm with you. The minute restriction
it.
did
Okay.
probably play a little bit of a part, but at the same time, AD has been on a minute
That's
restriction.
not the only thing one that they're dealing with. They're also without Jared Vanderbilt during this time. That's their second best defender.
No, probably. Oh yeah, second best. You're right.
Yeah, this is
Okay,
second
I'll
best
give you that.
behind Anthony Davis. And they're adding pieces offensively that are literally just stepping on each other's toes. That's literally what's happening right now. So while you're over here being concerned, the fact that they were able to pull out that win against the Phoenix Suns, a Phoenix Suns team that really had an easier job than the Los Angeles Lakers did, because
Disagree, but carry on.
well, I'm saying they had an easier job from the standpoint of, unlike the Los Angeles Lakers, who's having to like deal with those situations mid-game, like LeBron being the leader of the offense and then him coming off of the court just like that, and you having to manage with players like D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, and force Gabe Vincent to have to be more of a shot creator than you would actually like to see. Actually, the more and more I think about it, the more I think that signing is actually going to hurt them a little bit. But while they're dealing with that, the Phoenix Suns are literally just playing, give KD the ball and get the hell out the way. That's literally all that they had to do. They had no other job than just give the ball to KD and ask him to get buckets. That's literally all that they asked. And it got them, and it had them having the lead up until like mid fourth quarter when the Lakers actually finally started to pull away a little bit. So like I don't know what you guys I don't know what you guys are like getting mad at the Lakers for. Like the Lakers, they're dealing with situations just like every other team that made a big move this year. Like
You know why? Because of how big the market is on the Lakers, how big of a name they are.
that plays a
That's
role.
why it's a concern.
That plays a role. That plays a role. All
And
right.
Justin, I will point out to you too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, obviously y'all handled y'all business against Philly, but I was coming into that game. I was curious on how it was going to be for Milwaukee. Like, how is Dame and Giannis going to play together overall, knowing that they've never when Dame was in Portland. I mean, he has CJ McCollum, but he's never played with another superstar on his team, and as well as Giannis. So to see them both playing on the court together, and it looked like there was no issues. As
Nah,
I
there was
actually,
issues. There was issues. It was just
well,
the
I
pick
saw.
and
Well,
roll.
I
There's
saw the second
issues
half.
for Giannis more less than
Yeah, it was issues for Giannis more than Dame, but it was issues. It's just the pick and roll was so potent. It hardly mattered about like what they were figuring out within themselves because they were still able to gather like efficient offense through the pick and roll of Dame and Giannis. The true problem that I'm having, well, not problem, but the true concern that like I had even after beating Philly was two things. One, they need a extra they need Chris Middleton like that much more now as like for his playmaking and his shot creation, because my God, when Dame came off of the court, that offense went right back to looking ugly, and it did not matter about the sets that Adrian Griffin was running. And then my second thing is Adrian Griffin actually is a good coach. My large part of our question during the offseason was, what the hell is Adrian Griffin? Because none of us have seen him outside of knowing that he's an assistant coach for the Toronto Raptors. Outside of that, we had no knowledge. Last game against the Philadelphia 76ers, I saw sets that were ran for the Milwaukee Bucks that Mike Budenholzer wouldn't dare run. There was a dribble handoff where Chris Middleton came down the court in a full court setting, gave the ball, spent off for Tyrese Maxey, gave the ball to Giannis. Giannis gives the ball back to Chris Middleton, sets the screen, rolls off. Chris Middleton comes down baseline, spins off of Tyrese Maxey one more time, and he gets an easy dump to Giannis, who has like practically an open lane due to the off-ball movement that Malik Beasley and not PJ Tucker, Bobby Portis was doing behind the scenes that made it so that Giannis wasn't going to get backdoored by anybody. It wasn't no standing still. Everybody played a part in that play, and that's the type of things that you want to see. So yeah, those are my two things that I took from Milwaukee. But no, they need Chris Middleton to come off of minutes restrictions like ASAP. He only played 16 minutes that game.
All right, let's move on to Rod.
Yeah, Rod, it's on you.
All right. I'm surprised Atlanta playing so poorly. Excuse my French right now. But
No, it's okay.
fuck.
Press away.
Uh, this looks real bad. Not just offensively, but defensively. This does not look like the Quinn Snyder team of last year at all. Um, I don't know if it's because you have basically two small forwards on the court at the same time doing the same thing with DeAndre Hunter and Sadiq Bey. But it is terrible to have a giant lead over Charlotte and then they come back and beat you. That's terrible. Were they in the game against New York? Yes, they were. But it was like nothing would go in for anybody but Jalen Johnson, which he's a surprise. He's playing tremendously well and probably going to be a starter next year or by the end of the year if he continues on his tear of just playing well offensively and defensively. Am I shocked by anybody else in the league? Not really. Denver, we know what Denver is, and they're just going to be Denver all day, every day, leading with two of the best players in the league. LA, I just been waiting to see what they're going to do.
Actually, is it fine if I? Is it?
So what?
Oh no! Not. Are you finished yet? Because I don't want to talk over you.
Oh my bad. I'm done.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just asking if you want to get off anything else. I'll go.
No, I'm done. I'm mad at Atlanta for being very piss poor over the past few
Wanna
games.
can I say something before you go, Dozino?
Yeah.
I just want to let you guys know, Mark Williams is fantastic for Charlotte. So the reason why Trey struggled against them is because he didn't realize that Mark Williams was him, and he met that dude at the rim, and Mark Williams let him know that he was him. And then he went up against New York. Now, New York ain't got too much to be happy about, but one thing they can be proud of
Is that defense, man?
That defense. Their defense is good. So I don't think Atlanta really is that much in trouble. They just gotta beat the team they're supposed to beat. I don't think they were supposed to beat Charlotte. Not with the way that they were playing. With the way that they've been playing outside of game one. But
if they played the way they played on game 2 for game 1, then they should have won that game, even though they were already leading Charlotte by at least 20 points.
Jesus Christ! 20-point blowout. 20-point lead blown. Tough.
Blown.
in
You
2020,
you can't tell me that's not bad.
That is
2020
horrible.
in 2023, another 20-point lead being blown. Crazy.
Oh yeah. It reminds you of 2022 where 52 20-point leads were just being blown. Yo.
Go ahead.
Jesus
Go
Christ.
ahead.
No, you got to go before Zeno. You two got to go. But Zeno's gonna be last.
I was
Oh,
gonna say how Marcus.
Marcus, go ahead. Go ahead and go. Boss.
Oh wait, pause. Just realized. Marcus?
Oh, it's Marcus. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what does he pause for?
So I got a good and a bad one. So the good I would say is Orlando, right? Now I know in reality is what they beat the Rockets, they beat the Blazers. That doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But think about it like this: they're a young team, right? And one of the markers of a young team developing, getting better, is consistency. And so beating the teams that you're supposed to is that next step up before you start really becoming a good team. And so I've been kind of surprised the fact that they won those 2 games and they look like they are starting to ascend. So I'm going to be looking out for them and seeing if they're ready to take that next step, or if this was just, hey, they just had a good week. I actually was going to say Atlanta was the bad one for different reasons, though. So this, of course, was the first all season for Quinn Snyder, who I think is a great coach. He did a great job in Utah. I really don't think he had a great team outside of just having Donovan Mitchell, and he got just a cast of characters. But he made it work. Like, they always were competitive. They were always at the top of their conference. So when he got hired by Atlanta, I thought, okay, we're going to see him kind of fix the mess that was Atlanta last year. But so far it hasn't looked good, and you kind of went through the issues in the first 2 games. The main thing that I'm looking at is now I'm wondering, is it really a coach issue, or is it a roster problem? I like to see how that's going to play out, but I'm really surprised at how poorly they've played so far. So interested in seeing how that plays out for the rest of the season.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question real quick?
Yep.
Do you think that if they made the move to get someone like Siakam would help Atlanta, or would that just be the same thing over?
I think it may help. Their whole roster, to me, it's like very redundant. Like, they just have a lot of the same players that do the same thing. So I think it would depend on who they're trading off. To me, I think Siakam could help in the right situation. But outside of Siakam, outside of Trae Young, who's going to be that third scorer? That to me is going to be the big question if you do make that trade. Who are going to be their big 3, so to speak, that's going to elevate them. I don't know if just Siakam and Trae Young as being your consistent top two scorers is really enough. I think you're going to have to figure out the rest of the roster, balance that out to see if you can build around. Be honest with you, I'm not sure you can build around Trae Young, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Talk about it.
I said the same thing when they did that stupid trade. Stupid.
Hey man, I do think actually I want to say anything.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say I think that Pascal Siakam would actually work really well defensively in tandem with what's his name? What's your center name? Clint Capella. That would be a really good defensive front court. I think that Siakam brings a lot on the offensive end to you as well because he's a decent playmaker while also being a good go-to scorer if Trae Young does decide to start finding him on cuts or finding him in a post because I think Trae Young, we haven't seen it yet, but I believe he's a good entry passer, so he won't have issues actually getting it into Siakam. Siakam also spaces the floor, so it gives Trae Young even more ability to attack the rim. So I think altogether, Siakam will actually work really well with Trae Young. But I think the issue with that is that it's going to be kind of like I need you to keep and pay attention to what I'm saying before I finish. It reminds me kind of Miami in a sense that they have two good players, but they don't have the player that pushes them over the hump, right? So having Trae Young, a top 20 player, and then having Pascal Siakam as like a top 25 player, that's not enough.
Is he 100? Yeah, he's top 20 player. Yeah.
That's not enough. Because even Miami, who has a borderline top 10 player in Jimmy Butler and a borderline top 20 player in Bam, that isn't even enough for them to get ahead. So I think that's what they need to do. They really need to find, and even if they get Pascal Siakam, they will need another trade to get them over the hump. Preferably a big man. No, preferably a wing.
I just think they need to rebuild.
Yeah,
and then
they need. Sorry to cut you off, but that they need a number one that's better than Trae Young. That's what I think. I think Trae Young is misplaced as a number one option. He should be a number two option. Number one ball handler, secondary scoring option.
I think Atlanta is realizing ironically, the same thing that Washington had just realized this offseason, that we can only go so far with this star player, but this star player has developed so much of a cachet. We could be able to gain from this situation rather than just stalling and waiting for something better to happen. And it never comes. I think the Atlanta Hawks would be better off trading Trae Young and getting hella assets, trading DeJounte Murray, getting hella assets, trading Clint Capella's contract, getting hella assets, and rebuilding from the bottom so that you could be able to have a better chance at getting that number one. Because I'm gonna keep it a stack with you, Rob. We've been talking about the Atlanta Hawks for like the last 2 years. Do you realize if they would have just traded Trae Young, they could have had an opportunity to be going for the Wembanyama sweepstakes last year?
You know, if we hadn't traded Trae Young for Luka, we would be in a better position. I'm just saying.
No, actually, no, because I think Dallas Mavericks are sort of in that position right now too. I think they're in that position too because they're on a ticking time clock. They cannot get better because they don't have the necessary assets to be able to bring in a play. Like they just went and got Kyrie Irving. Don't get me wrong, Kyrie Irving is a top 20 player in the league, right? Mm-hmm. Arguably. He's not good enough to move the needle for the Dallas Mavericks to be a championship caliber team. So now you basically just wavered yourself from being completely out of like barely into playoff conversation.
Context.
What?
I think the issue with Kyrie and the Luka duo is not necessarily that they don't fit. He doesn't push him over the hump. It's due to the fact that they don't have the defensive acumen around them. That's the reason. If they had the defensive pieces around them, then they got
Even if they don't have. There's not enough defensive players that they can be able to go after.
Fair enough.
Right? They can't because they don't have the assets to be able to go after those players. Right? Mm-hmm. They pushed all of those chips forward to get Kyrie. You gave up all of your assets that you could have possibly threw to develop a better defensive unit around Luka to get one extra star to pair alongside Luka. That if we're going to keep it a stack, so far this season, it's proven true. He's basically doing the same thing that Luka's doing to a toned down level, way toned down. He's a bad defender, a good to great scorer, and a good playmaker. That's it. So if that's
it,
case,
crazy to me.
Huh?
Saying that's it is crazy to me.
No, that's it from the sense of what is that moving the needle. The Dallas Mavericks last year, if they never made the trade for Kyrie, they were a first to second round exit. Did this move change anything?
I agree with you. No. Okay. I agree with what you're saying.
Okay.
It's just
crazy to say it. It's crazy to say it out loud, but
it's you saying that's it. It's crazy to me.
That's it. No. I'm saying that's it from the sense that Kyrie compared to Luka. Luka has rebounding on his side. He's also one of the league's best playmakers. He's also one of the league's best scorers, as he showed like last night or the night before.
Yep.
He's one of the best post scorers as well and post playmakers. Kyrie Irving is one of the best ball handlers, one of the best scorers.
A good to great playmaker.
Okay. All right. Good to great playmaker.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've been paying.
Yeah, they're the same player. They're the same player.
Yeah, but I think that's what the Mavs have been doing this season is that they've been staggering their minutes so that like either Kyrie or Lucas play with the bench unit and they're not constantly playing together, which means, and when they're together, this is one of the things that I do understand why they brought Kyrie on. They made a great offense, to an unstoppable offense. Because it doesn't matter that you can stop one of them, even if you are able to deal with one of their onslaught, you could then get traded for now a Luka onslaught. And when Luka comes off, now it's a Kyrie onslaught. So on the offensive end, I think they've upgraded their offense from being great to unstoppable, but they've removed their defense, which you need defensive pieces, which is what they've been looking for. And that's why they brought up Derek Lively. And I think Derek Lively has the opportunity, not this season, maybe next season, to actually become
I'm glad you said
good enough on the defensive end to really mitigate their defensive weaknesses. They also need to find some good forwards or wings to actually supplement them with defense, honestly.
Marcus, you got anything?
Nah, this is good conversation. I completely agree with you about your assessment about the trade with Kyrie Irving. When I heard the trade, I was scratching my head. I'm like, you all moving the deck chairs of Titanic. It's all the same. Like you're not going to get anywhere with this. But if they find a way to add pieces, and like Zeno said, if they can develop Lively, maybe they can get somewhere in the next couple of years. But the reality is time is ticking. Sure. Like Kyrie Irving is not a young man anymore. He got a 3-year deal this year. You got to figure this out quick. So you don't have time to develop a bunch of players to put around them. You really need to figure this out quickly so that you can build a contender. Otherwise, you're going to miss Kyrie's window.
I agree. All right, we got a couple super chats real quick. Sports PSP hop back in. He said, Trae Young or Ja Morant? It's Trae Young.
Trae Young.
Yeah.
We have to say Trae Young because we can't deal with too many more gun violence.
Yeah, it's Trae Young.
It's Trae Young, and to be honest with you, it's not really close.
Damn, that's messed up. What?
Yeah, say it is not really close is now you're gassing it, but
Trae Young and it's not really close. I'm telling you right now.
You really
this is coming from me. I hate on John.
I know you hate on Ja Morant, but I'm saying I love Ja Morant, but I think if Trae Young was to be stopped as a scorer, which he oftentimes is, like he was in the Boston Celtics series last year, he still can give you elite playmaking.
Ja can do so.
You don't think Ja cannot give you elite playmaking?
Even if you don't think Ja is an elite playmaker, you at least have to give him great.
Oh yeah, no, he's a great. I don't think he's an elite playmaker though.
If you think okay, I just want you to pay attention to how their half court offense becomes absolute dirt when he's not on the court.
It's dirt when he's there too.
No, it goes from being like one of the worst half court offenses in the league to being middle of the pack, like decent. So there's a reason why it jumps down.
Okay. So he went from being like a 1 to like their offense went from being like a 1 to a 5. Okay. But Trae Young is able to have his team going from like a 1 to like a 7 or an 8. Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say by now when Trae Young is on the court, whether he's a great scorer or not, he consistently has the Atlanta Hawks looking like one of the best offenses in the league.
Sometimes.
No,
but not
it's often.
I can't say that yet because he hasn't been making it look like that.
And Ja Morant is not moving me defensively.
We're talking about defense between Morant.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying even if you want to say Trae Young is the worst defender and the worst guard defender in the league, Ja Morant's defense is not moving. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was gonna say we're talking about defense between Trae Young and Ja Morant. I'm sick.
But nah, that's either there. But Daryl, Trae Young or Ja Morant?
Trae Young, I said that as soon as the question got put up. Y'all probably didn't hear me. I said Trae Young.
I heard you, big dog. I heard you.
Appreciate it, bro.
All right, Marcus, you got anything?
Yeah, definitely Trae Young. His ability to take over the game with his shooting, I think, makes a big difference. Ja Morant is very dynamic. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. I think the difference is you can game plan Ja Morant a lot more. Like you can keep him out of the paint and force him to shoot outside. He's not as nearly dynamic outside as Trae Young, and I think that's where you kind of see some of the differences. Like you said, defense is a wash for both of them. But yeah, I just think when Trae gets hot, I mean he really takes over with his shooting. But Ja, yeah, I think there's ways you can game plan Ja. Maybe some teams haven't quite figured that out, but I think that's one of the reasons why he hasn't had as much success in the playoffs.
I think the majority of them have figured them out.
No, I agree with what you said at the end, but saying you can keep him out of paint is I implore you to watch his postseason.
Have you seen
teams are not able to keep him out of the paint. That's why they're actually able to stay in games. Yeah.
Have you seen Ja Morant's finishing numbers in the postseason?
In the postseason, it drops. I'm not lying to you. I understand it drops, but I'm sorry. When you're watching him attack the rim and he's constantly pushing and putting pressure onto the team, putting pressure on the defense, and he's able to create opportunities out of that situation, I think that you're misguided in believing that teams can take him out of the paint when they're still not able to. He's just not finishing at the correct, at the same efficiency that he does in the regular season. To which why I would put Trae over him. I agree. I think Trae is a better playmaker than him. I think Trae spaces the floor, which means that he has a more balanced offensive balanced scoring bag, meaning that teams can't just load up on his drive or load up on his shooting. They have to understand he can get to the mid-range. He can get to the rim, although he's inefficient there, and he can shoot. You can shoot from free. The fact that he has all of that in his kit means that it's harder to actually game plan for Trae Young, although you're most likely going to be aware he's going to be taking threes more often. And then I believe he's a better playmaker, as I already said. Yeah. But I think you guys are misguided on how good Ja Morant is in the postseason, but that might be me.
I don't know. I'm just moved by Trae Young's ability to be able to do either or in good consistently when he goes up against like elite defenses versus Ja Morant, where as even with him, like for instance, like in the first round last year when he finally came back from the hand injury against the Lakers and he was going off from three. That was one of the rare times where like he was able to like keep the Grizzlies in that series, because the next game when he didn't have it going from three and were able to load up the paint on him once again, the Lakers were able to do whatever they wanted to against the Grizzlies like they were when he was gone. So whether he's there or not, if he does not have the 3-point going, he's not that much of a factor. Whereas Trae Young, whether he has it going from the three or whether he has it going from around the rim, it doesn't matter. His playmaking can be able to take care of the rest.
I'm just checking right now. Really, the only team that was able to really stop him from getting to the rim, was Minnesota. Literally, every other team hasn't really been able to do so.
Yep.
We're talking about teams like the 2022 Golden State Warriors. This is the championship Warriors who have Draymond as one of the best defenders in the league, and Kevin Looney. He's underrated defensively. We're talking about in the first year. In the first year, it was the Utah Jazz with Rudy Gobert, who's one of the best rim protectors in the league, and of all time, one of the best rim protectors.
He didn't go. No. The Rudy Gobert wasn't there around the time.
What? Are you sure?
Mm-hmm. That was the Karl Anthony Towns, Jared Vanderbilt Timberwolves.
No. Talking about Utah Jazz.
Yeah. Oh, Utah. Okay.
Yeah. Utah Jazz. He also was there efficiently as well. And then the last time he played was against the Lakers, to which the Lakers did put a hamper to his aggression against the rim. But it's AD. So other than really like the best rim protectors in the league, or one of the best team defensive teams in the league, he really isn't able to be stopped at the rim. So I kind of can't.
I'm saying the effectiveness of him around the rim, like, and is it as impactful as Trae Young's playmaking and his ability, paired alongside his ability to be streaky from the 3-point line?
Yeah. I agree with you. I take Trae Young as well. I just wanted to make sure you guys understand that Trae Young and Ja Morant are closer than you are saying.
Yeah, one thing I was going to add to this conversation too is I believe basketball, particularly in the NBA, has changed a lot. And I think when you have a player like Ja Morant who can be inconsistent and shooting outside in the playoffs, it really becomes an issue. Like, you look at the teams that have been winning championships the past few years, like, these point guards really have to be able to make shots.
Yep.
You got the Steph Currys, you got Jamal Murray. You got to be able to make shots, because teams, when you get to the playoffs, they're game planning your weaknesses. And so for Ja to take that next step, he's going to have to become a better shooter, a more consistent shooter. And then I think we would see him, get to that next level. But I think until you get there, we're not going to quite see that success that we're expecting.
I don't think he has to be a better shooter. I think he has to be more. He needs to develop what Darren Fox developed, which was a mid-range game.
That definitely can.
I mean that's what. Oh, by the way, you're kind of lagging in and out, so you might need to deal with that.
Is that me? That's me?
I think so. Yeah.
Am I lagging for the rest of you guys or no?
No. Is it me?
I think that's
you're
just
fine. You're fine.
I couldn't hear
no problems.
I think he needs to develop what Darren Fox developed, which was a mid-range game, because he can open the door so much more to the possibilities in the postseason. Like, if you notice, the same defense that the same front line that Ja struggled against in the second round in 2022. That's the same defensive front line that Darren Fox faced, and he had much more success until he dealt with the injury.
Context.
What's the context that
the context you're missing is the fact that that's actually not the same defense. They were struggling with defensive issues throughout the whole season. When it was going to other when away, they were having defensive issues all the time. They were better on in home games defensively. The team that you're seeing right now, they may have the same pieces, but the cohesiveness on the defensive end was nowhere near the same as it was in 2020.
I disagree. I think the Golden State Warriors defensive front line between Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Kevon Looney in the front, as far as like their defensive front line, I feel like they were just as good the whole season. It was the bench. It was the bench that failed with the cohesiveness. Adding Kuminga and Moses Moody to get more minutes and then taking those minutes away, that was what was ruining the Golden State Warriors. I don't think that the starting lineups defense, as far as the front line between Wiggins, Green, and Looney, they were fantastic the entire season.
Actually, I agree with you. Actually, my fault.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah. All right, super chat. We got Sports PSP says Trey needs to be a better shot selector. You can't ask much from a defense given who he is. Which team where Trey can be best suited?
Sixers. Let's move on.
Actually, he would be suited in the
Shut
Sixers form. Actually, no. If you think about it. Trey Young's shot selection, his shot hunting would be made up for because he has a good to great rebounder and good to great post player in Joel Embiid. The pick and roll between him and Joel Embiid would probably be even better than James Harden and Joel Embiid due to Trey Young's ability to be able to get to his spots better than James Harden was at his stage of his career. So no, I think Trey Young would be best suited in the Philadelphia 76ers.
It would literally be like a what's called Harden and Embiid pairing, but better because what's called Trey Young at this stage of point is a better shot creator.
So let's go with something that's more likely.
Okay. Actually, that's not that far. That's not too far conceivable. They have the assets to do it.
Well, they do have the assets.
Atlanta wouldn't want to do it.
They do have the assets, but we're not going to do that. So let's go with something.
Sadly, I don't want to lose Maxey.
Fuck Maxey.
Whoa.
You kind of need Maxey though.
You need Maxey.
Nah, to be a championship level team. No, you don't. If you swap out Tyrese Maxey with Trey Young, I don't think you losing sleep at one moment.
That I'll agree. I'll be honest with you. As soon as if that was a swap, we instantly become championship.
Yeah. We're definitely not fucking just swapping. You can go and cut that.
I know.
If Atlanta wants to rebuild, you'll swap, nigga. Yes, you will.
What? How we gonna swap and then get nothing? We just get one player. That's not great. It's not a great rebuild for us.
No. For Trey Young, you would get Tyrese Maxey, probably a rotational piece, probably Paul Reed. I'm sorry.
No.
And some lottery draft.
Okay, that's not a swap.
That is a swap for y'all.
A swap is one for one. What are you talking about?
Get a good to possibly.
Mr. Marcus, please explain to him what NBA swap means, please.
Justin, swap is what he meant, which was Maxey for straight up. I know what you meant. You meant a trade.
Yeah.
You meant a trade. Yes, but he had swap.
You hear him going crazy?
You're
going crazy over a trade.
Okay, whether it's a swap or a trade, Atlanta says no to that, guys.
Oh, for a swap, yes, we would say absolutely no. Because we don't gain anything from that.
No, but
I disagree. I think even if you swap, that's the starting button for you to start this rebuild. You swap.
That's just a button. We don't gain any assets from that. We gain one player who's probably going to leave.
Tyrese Maxey? Oh yeah, he if he's smart, he'll leave.
He's going to leave.
Yeah, if he's smart, he'll get the hell up out of there.
So then we have absolutely nothing. That don't help Atlanta.
I would believe though. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think also even if you swap it, I don't think Tyrese Maxey has the ceiling that Trey Young has. I think Tyrese Maxey is just a bit below Trey Young, and when it comes to ceiling wise, in my opinion, I think Tyrese Maxey can be like old version of a All NBA third team. I think he could reach and have an All NBA kind of season once or twice in his career. But I mean, borderline. And I think Trey Young is a better offense player to build around. So if you go for Tyrese Maxey, you're actually downgrading in talent in the future and in present. So I don't think that's really good.
I was thinking
when you talk about the things afterwards, yeah, I know what you're talking about. When you added on like the picks, Paul Reed, and all, that I understand. I agree with you though.
Okay, all right. Marcus, you got something?
Yeah. So the question for y'all is, what happens to James Harden? You just let him go, or is he going to be another trade?
If I'm able to make that trade and get Trey Young, James, you can go. You take the money. Fuck it.
You're willing just to let him walk?
Let that man walk, because obviously, like currently, if they can't find a proper trade for James Harden to get what they believe is his worth. So if we're able to say, okay, forget you, let's get Trey, right? And like barring that there's some type of trade that's been put on the table for James Harden to go to a team and they'll give him like a shit ton of picks or something like that. Barring that being there, Yeah, let the man walk. I don't let him go for pennies on a dollar. Like this is one L for a major W that we're taking.
I disagree. I would actually trade James
Get
Harden.
the finger off me, man. Get the finger off me.
I trade James Harden, Tobias Harris, and get myself Pascal Siakam. So we have Trae Young, Pascal Siakam, and Embiid, and we can figure out. We have Kelly Oubre with that too. We have D'Anthony Mel. Oh, that starting five is looking sexy. Ooh.
Kelly Oubre being mentioned in any starting five looking sexy is crazy. I just want you to know that.
Okay.
He had one game.
He had to laugh at him for that. But Kelly Oubre is
game, and now everybody.
No, for real. Not niggas talking about.
No.
He
is not him.
He's worth it. No.
You know why I felt about Kelly Oubre. I was like, I'm kind of iffy on him because of his abilities.
He's a terrorist.
He can be a terrorist on offense. Like he would sometimes just hijack the offense to take a shot, which is, it can be really bad.
Which is what Trae is going to do.
Trae is not going to do that.
He will.
No.
Not often.
I've been watching the last two games. Trae has made some very bad shots.
And to be honest with you, you know what the Philadelphia 76ers were lacking last year? Outside of Tyrese Maxey, there was nobody willing to take those tough shots.
Yeah.
So, no, it's actually good that he does that every now and again.
I actually would add on to the fact that I think in a winning context, and he's actually playing with a superior coach in Nick Nurse, I think he's actually willing to more buy into the system compared to playing with a team that he could possibly see. I don't know him personally, that he doesn't know if they can actually win a chip. So now he's playing with someone who's probably one of the top five, let's say for better conversations, top 7 players in the league, right? The fact that he's understanding that I have this guy next to me, I have Tyrese Maxey or whatever, who else is in with him? I have a good team with me as well. Yeah. I can actually win something. I think he's actually going to commit more to the defensive end, commit more to actually playing within the team's structure compared to like when he's on the Hawks. So I kind of disagree with what you guys are thinking. I do understand where you're coming from, but I disagree with it.
I'm with you because I'm looking at Dame in game 1 against Philadelphia 76ers. And although he had like a few lapses defensively, because we know that he's not that good on the defensive end, you notice that he was far more motivated to fall in love with the idea of being more attentive on that end due to the fact that he's motivated. I'm playing on a championship level team now. Let's go. Let's do this. So yeah, no, I'm with you. We got 2 more super chats and then we're moving on. Oh no, then I gotta give you mine too. We got Darius Boogie who says shotgun Trae. And then we got really it comes down to the team efficiency too, though. When it comes, I'm guessing he's referring to the Trae Young or Ja Morant debate.
Oh no, I think he's just talking about Trae Young team in general.
I think his team efficiency is elevated when he's on the court because of his great playmaking. That's why we call him one of the league's best playmakers because So that falls more into like the reason to choose Trae over Ja. And again, not to say that Ja is not good on that side of the court. It's just he's not Trae. Trae is one of the best outside of Luka Jokic at that specific. Oh, and LeBron James.
Steph, hello, Steph. Steph says hi.
As far as a passer,
Steph's a good passer, but not on
their
level. Not on their level.
I had playmakers. My fault. I mean,
no.
I think Steph is on that tier, but I think Trae is probably better. Yeah.
So
I had playmaker. That's
bro. You see what he doing out here, Marcus? Man, he out here trying to get me, man. He trying to get me. I don't feel safe out here, man. No. Okay, so this is my 2 teams. So I'm gonna go with the Denver Nuggets. I'm surprised nobody said it. For one reason and one reason only. Last time we talked about the Denver Nuggets going into week 1, we were talking about how the Denver Nuggets probably were not going to be the same team due to them missing out on Bruce Brown and Jeff Green and them sort of like having the itis after winning the championship. They go up against the Los Angeles Lakers, and what do? Zeno?
They spanked that ass.
No, sir.
Good old fashioned.
You said they weren't going to be the same. You said that, sir.
That was. I hope you know.
I wasn't convinced in that conversation at all.
I thought the Lakers were going to win, but I thought that the Lakers were going to show that they were going to sort of make a statement saying, "Hey, we're not the same team we were last year. We're much better. We have a healthy LeBron or whatnot." I had no idea LeBron was going to be on minutes restrictions, and more than that, I did not realize that Darvin Ham was still going to do the same questioning, the same weird lineups. He had Rui Hachimura or LeBron at the center spot. It's really nasty. I think he had Taurean Prince at the center spot. I don't know.
Wait, Nero, do they have another center?
Do they have another center? They have Jackson Hayes and Christian Wood, but let's be serious now. But
they had Christian Woods on the court.
Let's be serious.
I know they had him on the court. I saw him on the court. He was making a couple buckets. I saw him make a couple buckets.
The Denver Nuggets surprised me specifically because the way that they were able to dominate not just the Los Angeles Lakers, but then they go up against the Memphis Grizzlies, who me and Zeno were raving about how good their defense is going to be. Granted, we did not understand that Steven Adams was going to be out with a season-ending surgery. So there's that. And he completely dominated them. Then he goes up.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think for Jokic standard, that was a worse game than you actually expect.
I don't think that was a worse game. I think he played within the offense towards the second half, but in the first half, he was doing whatever.
I'm sorry, bro.
Still almost had a triple-double. So
yeah, he did whatever he wanted to against them.
I agree with you guys, but then when you guys realize that he has 7 assists or 9 turnovers, that their offense wasn't running the same way that it usually does. I'm telling you this now. This Memphis Grizzlies defense, even without I'm surprised myself, even without Steven Adams, that defense was able to bring down Jokic's effectiveness as a playmaker as well. It's crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you. I honestly believe it. You can move me. I'll move it over to you so you can do that. But I actually genuinely believe that they actually played really well, good defense on Jokic. I think that Jokic had the worst game when it comes to Jokic standards. Of course, it's a great game for majority of players. In fact, probably great game for every player in this league. But I think for Jokic standards, that wasn't a great game. I think that was a decent game.
Whether you think that was an impressive game or not, the game that he just had against the Oklahoma City Thunder should have you calm down again, because he dropped 28, 14 rebounds, and I believe it was 6 or 7 assists.
Bro, acting like I'm hating on him, boy.
No. I'm not saying that you're hating on him, but you were against that defense, which quiet as kept. Oklahoma City Thunder's defense for the last 3 games, it's looking really, really good. Chet Holmgren is looking like
I'm not gonna lie to you, not moved by Chet Holmgren, which Jokic weighs over 100 pounds on. But hey, carry
on. You should be, but you should be, but even still, I take the Denver Nuggets as my first team on the western side, and I'm gonna go on the eastern side. I'm gonna go with the team that
apparently there's no way I was gonna use this
team that we don't. I'm gonna go with the team that apparently we don't know about.
I hate you.
We knew you were gonna go with that. I don't know how anybody didn't know he was gonna go with that.
Baby, Detroit basketball.
Chad.
Detroit basketball. Baby. Come on, let's be for real out here, man. Let's be for real out here. I told you guys, not you, Zeno, not even you, Daryl Rock. I told Chad that Cade Cunningham is him. Cade Cunningham is that guy. And outside of one game, which was against the Charlotte Hornets, which, again, Mark Williams, that guy, he has played phenomenal against Miami. He was the main reason why they were still in that game, dropping 30. He also played phenomenal against Chicago last night in a blowout. I'm telling you right now, Cade, I think he had 30-9 against Miami, efficiently, by the way. And then he had 25-10 against Chicago, efficiently, by the way. The only question that's left on my mind is, how Cade fares up against good to great rim protectors, because that Charlotte big man out there sort of has me looking at Cade with a little bit of a side eye. But even still, his mid range looks phenomenal. He's not three hunting. He's actually looking to like get quality shots, whether it's mid range, 3-pointer, or around the rim. And more importantly, he's playing within Monty's offense. And then I ain't even got to talk about the real champion of the Detroit Pistons, Jalen Duren. Jalen Duren is that guy. You want me to talk to you guys about Mark Williams being that guy? Jalen Duren is that man as a rim protector.
Stop putting Sage up here.
We need to get familiar with the Detroit Pistons. I'm telling you right now, the starting pieces of Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, and by the way, 6'5" T-Mac, Jaden Ivey, they are looking phenomenal. And then on a side note, I think his name is Asor Thompson, not Amin Thompson.
Yes. Asor.
He is a great rebounder.
Bro is averaging 10 rebounds for the past 3 games.
He is a great rebounder, and he's also pretty solid defensively. The only thing that I feel like is like the problem with him, or what he needs to develop, is the same thing that's happening over here in Houston. Both of the Thompson twins need to develop more of a diverse offensive game, because just running straight at the rim and just hoping to get like fillets all day, that's not going to work. Not in the NBA, and they can't shoot. Their shot looks broken. Their shot looks
what? Hey, Mr. Marcus, what you got? What you got right there? I see it in your face. Let's get it.
But outside of that, I am in love with Detroit. I would say, dare I say, after Denver and after what's the team in the East that I've been watching? Boston. Detroit is my third team to watch. You gotta check them out. They are so fun, and this year, unlike every other year, everybody's healthy, and you're actually seeing a great product on the court. Monty Williams has this team playing meaningful basketball. Just want to let y'all know that. Go ahead, Marcus.
No, I'm with you. I like Detroit's young talent, man. They've done a pretty good job drafting. But the thing I like the most is my guy Monty Williams. Shout out from PG County too. I think he got a raw deal with Phoenix last year, man. He's a good coach. He got a raw deal with the Pelicans a couple years ago too. I think having him with that young core, it's going to be fun to watch.
I don't think I'm gonna be honest with you. I think he was done. I don't think he was done a raw deal. I think he ran his course in Phoenix, his system per se, because I think one of the things that you noticed last year before the KD trade was that D-Book. The main reason Monty Williams was there was to further develop D-Book as a complete player, and that job was complete. Right. As far as the postseason, I think it was pretty understood. Like Monty Williams in the postseason going up against like quality defenses, his style was a little suspect at times, especially when you went up against like elite defenses. But I think all in all, especially that last run, I think it showed that his system sort of ran tired with the group, with the unit. It was a different unit, and they weren't receiving his message as well as the team in 2021 or 2022 did for a large part of that season. So I think when you take that into account and you realize that KD is older and apparently they were planning on moving DeAndre Ayton way past like before the season ended, they sort of understood Monty Williams' message wasn't finna receive well to everybody. So you sort of it was time to move on. Do I think Frank Vogel was the proper switch for Monty Williams? Hell no. But I mean, they'll learn. They'll learn.
On Cade Cunningham, man, I watched a little bit of that game, and they tried to double team him, and he made him pay every time. I think his passing is coming along, his playmaking, getting people good open quality shots. Even Marvin Bagley looked like a reasonable player in the league.
Marvin Lay, he doesn't have a bag. Just remember.
He don't. But with Cade, he don't need to have the bag. He just need to be there.
True.
And Cade will get him a bucket. Wide open.
Shout out Marvin Lay, the third.
Wide open. You're
Nah,
nasty. You're nasty.
Daryl, Zeno, y'all got anything going on any of my picks between Denver and Detroit?
You know Zeno gonna want to say something, so get it out right now.
Forwards firstly, and secondly, no, I don't have anything to say. Other than that, I hate Justin for stealing my take because I wanted to talk about Detroit, but
hey,
it's honestly not his fault. It's
yes, I know, Rodney. Before you
who was that? That's Sage's fault. But we
no,
blame Sage for that.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was glad that I was going like second to last because I was looking in the standings for the teams that I was looking at because I was actually looking at 4 teams this week. I was looking at Sacramento, I was looking at Milwaukee, Boston, and Detroit. Denver sort of snuck in towards the end after that Lakers win that they had, so I was watching them a little bit. But yeah, no, Detroit was like the guaranteed. I had to talk about them because they have been playing great basketball for the last 3 games. Will it hold up? That's a question. That's a question that I can't answer yet. But as of right now, in week 1, they're the most surprising team to me. All right. If nobody has any rebuttals, all right, we finna move on to the next topic.
Hello.
Oh,
Zeno, this one.
Zeno. You said second last, and then you walked right past that man.
This is Zeno's fault because why did he want to go last in the first place? Like
you know why he wanted to go last.
Yeah.
No, talk about Philly.
No, I wasn't going to talk about Philly. I actually had 2 teams I wanted to talk about. One of them was going to be the Pistons, but the other one, I was actually paying attention to. I was just looking out now. Is the Bulls, and it's for a bad reason. Yo, these Bulls team have been stuck in dogfights against some of the teams that you would think they'll be able to, somewhat distance themselves with. Like, and then there's certain teams that they just straight up lost to. Like, they were in a dogfight against the Raptors throughout the whole game, and they really won through mistakes of the Raptors defenders. Like, people biting on DeMar DeRozan pump fakes like twice, allowing him to send it to overtime, and then letting what's his name, Alex Caruso, take that 3 to win the game for them. So you have that, and then next game they go against the Pistons, and Zach LaVine drops 51 efficiently, like hyper efficiently, only for them to still lose because they just couldn't stop. They couldn't rebound well because they had Asur Thompson and Jalen Duren absolutely crashing the rebounds and getting 21 more rebounds than the opposite team. Do you know how insane that is? A young team out rebounding you by 21. That is insanity. Like, it was really painful because I was actually watching it. And I was watching them really grab rebounds, constantly forcing turnovers as well. Like, they were actually really good with the ball. I'm not gonna lie. Actually, not really forcing turnovers, but they were just on the boards all the time. And you can see it because they grabbed 15 offensive rebounds to the Chicago Bulls 12. So that's the biggest reason why they lost against the Pistons. It was just the great rebounding from the Pistons. Also, Cade just deciding he wants to be a great playmaker this game as well. Or I'm not saying that like he's not a great playmaker all the time, but I just, speaking kind of weirdly. But I just think that the fact that the Chicago Bulls are just stuck in dogfights with teams that you would think that they would be able to beat in the Raptors, but they weren't able to beat them. That's just tough, in my opinion. I genuinely believe that the Bulls need to really just blow it up. Like, at a certain point, you understand that you guys are like a playing team, max. You're gonna maybe get into the playoffs, and then they're gonna lose in the first round to a completely significantly better team. I don't think that's gonna mean much for your team. I think you should blow it up, trade Zakhovin, Vooch, and all of those players, get some assets. Finally, and I mean it, finally optimize Patrick Williams rather than using him as a spot up shooter and actually invest into him, because they just don't. I don't get it. Like, Patrick Williams is probably one of the players that they can swing their hopes on to see how great he can become, and that he can probably elevate what they are as a team. And they just choose not to do anything with Patrick Williams. It's just weird to me. So they should really just blow up that team. That's what I think the Wolves need to do.
Yeah, to be honest with you, is probably like within the next few weeks, we're gonna start having a conversation about teams that we think should blow it up, and some of these NBA fans are not going to be happy that some of the teams may be on that radar. But all right, so that is two of the teams that you guys are looking at in the week one. Let's talk about next week, which we're going into, which is week two. Who are some of the? Give me your top three teams that you are watching for in week two.
I guess because I spoke last time, I'll go and talk this time. 1 sec. I just need to go find mine.
Absolutely. You're not getting out of this time, nigga.
I know. You don't need to try that with me, Nick. I know you are. 1 sec. I would have to get some type of knowledge on what the games are going to look like next season, next week. So I probably will pay attention to the similar teams I've been paying attention to anyways. The Pistons, because I'm really interested in how they are. Some portions of the Grizzlies team just due to the defense, and I'm actually paying attention to that. The Sixers, because I'm a Sixers fan. I'll probably pay attention to some Spurs games. Oh, also Spurs. I forgot to speak about Spurs. Wembanyama is playing really well. Sometimes his scoring isn't efficient, but the defensive prowess that he shows on a day-to-day basis, night-to-night basis, is insane. I'm sorry, man. The ability to pretty much take 2 steps and already be on the 3-point line, and it's like screwing with a lot of shooters, like calibration of defenders and how quickly they can get to their shot, is screwing with them because they don't understand how fast he can actually make land. And it's really hard for you to realize that in game time. I think in a year or so, you'll start to, or maybe even like 4 or 5 months, people will start to understand, okay, how long you really have time to actually take that shot against Victor. But right now, he's looking so dominant on the defensive end, in my opinion. Although one thing he needs to work on is the rebounding, but I think he's trying not to do so because of injury risks. I think that might be it.
Can you think of an NBA player that came in and made a bigger defensive impact than him?
AD.
Anthony Davis?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good one. I was gonna say Hakeem.
I would probably I was gonna say Evan Mobley, but I think Evan Mobley wasn't as good.
No, he wasn't this good defensively.
No. I think Evan Mobley is like just a little bit below that. Yeah. Tim Duncan's another one, by the way.
That's actually a good one. Okay, yeah, I like it. Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan's a good one. That's a closer one. Because I think Hakeem's defense was better than Wemby's. In like from the jump for Houston. Oh, sorry. Him and Ralph Sampson though. So that's the one bailout I can give him. He was playing with Ralph Sampson and he was the 4, not the center spot. Wemby, he's playing with Zach Collins. It's a difference. But okay, so I guess since we're going in backwards, I would be next, right? So I'm going to go with I gotta rock with my team. So I'm going with the Bucks. I'm watching them for week 2. So that's my bailout. Secondly, I'm watching Detroit again because they impressed me so much in week 1, and not to mention they're going up against more talented teams this week around. Outside of Portland, they're going up against OKC tomorrow. They're going up against Portland on Wednesday, and they're going up against New Orleans on Thursday. And then by the time we do the next episode, they're going to be playing Phoenix. So that's a good barometer to tell like really how good is Detroit. So I'm real interested for them. And then my third team, and this is gonna make you happy / mad, Rodney. I'm gonna be watching Atlanta. I want to see, can they pick up the slack? Can they get back on the right track this week? Because I think, let me check, but I don't think that their schedule gets any easier. And it's not. And to be honest with you, they really had an easy schedule this week, or it was supposed to be an easy schedule this week. They just fumbled the bag. But I think this upcoming week they're going up against Milwaukee right now. Actually, they're going up against Minnesota on Monday, Washington on Wednesday, New Orleans on Saturday. So yes, it's going to look a little interesting for them. But I think, to be honest with you, I'm more excited for Detroit, because Detroit going up against OKC tomorrow is like probably going to be the most fun game this week. Cade Cunningham with the way he's playing versus Shea and the way he's playing. The rim protector, who's the better rim protector between Jalen Duran and Chet Holmgren? I don't know. It looks like it's gonna be a fun game. So I'm more excited for that one. But yeah, those are my three teams. Marcus, you're up next whenever.
Yeah, so for me, there's a few teams. First of all, I'm interested in the Suns. Because we haven't seen them really with Bill and Booker out there. So I'm hoping that we're going to get a chance to see them soon. I'm just kind of curious what they're going to look like once they have all three of them on the floor. So I'm going to definitely keep an eye and see if we finally get a chance to see those guys out there. The next team that I would say is definitely the Bucks. I was very intrigued by that game against the Sixers the other day, and I thought that, I saw some flashes of like, oh man, this might be a really, really, really good team with that Damian Lillard, Giannis pick and roll. But it's still, again, they got kinks to figure out and trying to see, what they're going to actually look like for the rest of the season. So I'm just kind of interested in their progression. And then the other team that I'm interested in is the Sixers. With the whole James Harden situation, it's just a big mess, man. I want to know what is going to come out of that. Like, are they going to get to a point where they get James Harden back, they're going to kind of settle down with all the off the court stuff, or are they going to finally get to a point where they just say, look, enough is enough. We got to do something. And like we were talking about earlier, they don't really have a trade on the table, but they got to figure out something. I mean, they've been having this situation just kind of fester for a while. I don't know what's going to ultimately end up happening, but I'm super curious to see, how they're going to continue during the season if they need to make some moves.
Okay. Daryl? Oh no, it was Rod. It was Rod.
Yeah. Okay. Technically, I have four. Two from the East, two from the West. Always Atlanta Hawks, to see what they're planning on doing, if they're going to make some changes or what they're going to do. They do have a interesting schedule, as you said, with the Timberwolves tomorrow, and then the Wizards and Pelicans. I think the Pelicans are actually going to be a tough matchup for them, because they're going to play in the post mostly. And Bay is probably going to get beat up by Zion Williams.
Oh boy,
that's what's going to happen. He's going to get beat up.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens, how they play it. Next up would be the Indiana Pacers. They have actually been playing pretty decently this year. Other than, so they came out 2-0. They're not bad. They got the Bulls tomorrow, then the Celtics, and the Cavs again, who they already beat. So I think they have a pretty interesting little squad. I like to see what they got going on. Uh, the Timberwolves is always an interesting one because I like to hate on Cat. Don't be mad at me.
We all hate on Cat.
We. So
You do too. You do.
Marcus, I'm
so
sorry, Marcus. I hate on Cat so hard.
we
right
speak
now.
it.
He's
We
about
speak
as bad as I hate on
Zeno
Kyle Lowry.
Zeno hates on Cat as
We're
well.
speaking French out here. That's crazy.
Zeno hates on Cat as well.
So annoying.
We speaking French out. We speaking French out here because I don't know why
he gets annoying for
To
me.
be honest with you, the only never mind. I'll stay out of that. If Indiana's your team to watch, I was about to say the only team that I really care to watch them play is Cleveland. I think they're getting smacked by Boston on Wednesday.
But Boston is an actual. They've already played Cleveland. They beat Cleveland.
I want to see. Yeah, but that game was fun.
It was fun. Yeah. That don't mean that the Boston game isn't going to be just as fun. They're going to be competitive. They're going to play hard. They're young. They're still a young team.
With the way Boston is playing right now, I think they're smacking niggas. They're smacking niggas left and right. I'm sorry.
I don't know. Depending on what Tatum you're going to get. I'm just saying.
That's fair.
He's still 50-50.
That's fair. He playing. Look, he's playing like he actually got it. Like he know what he's supposed to do.
We'll see.
Yeah, he playing like
he show up or don't show up. It is what it is. And then my last team is going to be Sacramento. They did get smacked by the Warriors, but they haven't been able to figure out how to contain Steph Curry. And I don't know how many people have been able to contain Steph. Like he's only done it to himself. What are you gonna do with the chef? You know what I'm saying? He's a monster.
Yeah, I like the shade today.
They got the Lakers today, so I want to see how that work out. I ain't gonna say nothing to you, Daryl. But then they come back again, play the Warriors, and then they play the Rockets. So I mean, these next two games is.
I
know. I thought you were gonna say something, but you didn't, so I had to say something.
It was so uncalled for.
But it's a Lakers team. They're a good team, so you got to look at the good teams that they play against, and not the bad teams all the time.
That's
true.
Like,
oh, they're really great because they play bad teams.
That's
Rockets
true, but
a bad team. They got back to back with bad teams.
That's true, but the Warriors are teetering like on the tweener right now.
They are tweening right now.
They're
but
tweening.
I do like the Warriors and how they have everything working with Curry and CP3. We thought it wasn't really going to work out, but it actually looks pretty decent. I'm not saying that they're favorites. I think they're still contenders.
I don't, but I see what you're saying. I like Sacramento versus Lakers stuff. It's
compelling.
Yeah, it looks to be fun. Yeah, it looks to be fun.
Daryl,
it's on you, bro.
Darrell. All right, so for me, in the East right now, obviously, want to see what the Wizards do. Not only just because I'm going to the game tomorrow, but I actually do want to see what they do this week compared to last week, and also, Detroit. I really want to see is because I didn't get a chance to see it last week. I only got to hear a lot because Rodney was texting me all week about them. So I didn't really get a chance to see for myself what the Pistons were doing. So I want to see that for myself. Justin, why you shaking your head, man?
Because they're playing Detroit is playing so good right now. Like they're playing so good. Kay Cunningham and Jalen Durant are playing so good.
I'm gonna knock on wood because I don't want to jinx these cats right now.
Facts.
Right.
But
and then
they're so good. And side note, Killian Hayes actually looking to be he's actually looking to be a competent defender.
Okay.
And then in the West, obviously, want to see the Lakers, as always. And who else? Oh, yeah, the Pelicans. I actually want to check them out this week. I want to see what the healthy. Obviously, they're 2-0 right now, but I want to see if they can continue from how they left last week and on to what they're going to do this week. with the healthy Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram.
Okay.
Because I
All
think
right.
people
Oh,
are sleeping on I think they're sleeping on the Pelicans because they're already expecting Zion to be out like in a couple of weeks.
you know, Daryl, you get me with this. Like when you do the pause, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, he's done," and he'd be like, "Yeah." So I think, and I'd be like, "Oh shit, he wasn't done. My fault."
I do it on purpose.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. By the way, what makes what I just looked at it, Zeno Rodney, Detroit got 3 players that are leading that well not leading, but like they average 10 or more rebounds a game. Jalen Durant averages 15.3.
Yeah.
Isaiah Stewart averages 10, and Asor
Appreciate
Thompson averages 10.7. Name another team in the league right now that has 3 players averaging 10 or more rebounds a game. That's wild. That is wild. But now I'm interested. I'm interested in New Orleans because I've seen like sort of vaguely New Orleans winning streak. They're also one of the teams like Dallas in the Western Conference that's won 2 games. Oh, and Denver has won 2 or more games and hasn't lost yet. But they did it against the Grizzlies and the Knicks. The Grizzlies, I'm not super impressed with due to the fact that Zion Williamson's strong suit is rim pressure, and they don't. The Grizzlies doesn't have the front line to contend with a player that has the rim pressure that Zion Williamson puts around the rim. And then against the Knicks, although the Knicks are like fantastic defensively, offensively they look putrid. Oh my God, they need help. Like Jalen Brunson is having a down. He's having a down start, and Julius Randle being the leader of the offensive group, it never bodes well for the New York Knicks. You would think they would learn by now, but no, he doesn't. They don't. So I'm interested to see how they do. So I might be with you, Daryl, low key. I think this week is truly telling because they're going up against Golden State on Monday. Then they're going up against OKC on Wednesday. That's a televised game. Then they go up against Detroit basketball on Thursday, and Saturday they finish it off.
Glaze.
And then Saturday they finish it off going up against the Atlanta Hawks. So I'm real interested to see like how they hold up against those teams that are either competent on either side, right? Outside of Atlanta right now, but like I think Atlanta will pick it up, and I think Atlanta can pick it up.
Oh, I had a question, Marcus. I had a question for you. So obviously with the Wizards, we all said our opinions of how we felt about the whole Jordan Poole thing. I never heard from you like about your opinion about having what was your reaction with having Jordan Poole here in Washington, and basically what were the expectations that you were feeling about this franchise?
So anybody that has read Bulls Forever past couple years, I have been adamant about the Wizards trading Bill. I said you go back and look on the website 3 years ago, I said they should have traded him. I even advocated for them to trade him 2 years ago, right before they gave him that $250 million contract. And for me, I looked at getting Jordan Poole as just a residual effect of finally getting rid of Bill. I'm not a huge fan of Jordan Poole. I think that he has, a role in the league. And I mean, I think the way the Warriors use him is kind of coming off the bench and being like that super 6-man. I think that's his role. With the Wizards, him being there, I think it's more like, let's see if he can turn into more than that, which is fine because his team's not going anywhere. If he does turn out to improve and becomes that superstar player that some people are kind of projecting, I think some people kind of compared it to James Harden, like when he was with Oklahoma City.
Oh,
he came
yeah.
off the bench, and then he's going to
end
go
up
to
rising as this fantastic superstar.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are kind of banking on. I don't think he's that type of player.
He's not.
Zeno, just further evidence that people are stupid.
Yeah,
I
just don't.
The reason why Marcus that he's not that player is because James Harden, even in his OKC days, is a superior playmaker, like a very clear superior playmaker than Jordan Poole, and that's what Jordan Poole lacks to actually get to that next stage.
Exactly. Nah, there's more than that. There's more than that. We can talk about it when you get done, Marcus.
Of course, consistent scoring too, but
I mean, a lot of the James Harden situation was circumstance. It wasn't necessarily because James Harden wasn't good enough to start. It was that it was hard to have him or Russell Westbrook on the court at the same time. So, like Jordan Poole, literally was developed.
Actually, if I could continue.
Okay.
It wasn't that it was hard to have Russell and Harden on the court at the same time. It was more so the fact that their bench was going to essentially be led by Cephalosha.
Yes.
And if that's the case, then it gets real nasty when Westbrook, Harden, and KD get off the floor.
Right.
So, and this was before the age of staggering minutes was like a thing. Yeah. So it just made more sense to if you look at the San Antonio Spurs, a lot of their success came from having Manu Ginobili coming off the bench. So the Thunder were following that theory of having Harden come off the bench with similar skills that Manu had. Lo and behold, Harden was to be, the player that he was capable of being. So
that's fair. That's fair. But we're kind of making a point. It's not the same, right?
This ain't that. This ain't that.
Yeah. This is completely different. The people that are making that comparison, I don't know what they're thinking about. It's just not the same. I think, like I said, I think Jordan Poole has a lot of talent. There are times where he takes shots where I'm just kind of scratching my head. I mean, even last night, I was like, I don't know about that. But I think he's going to have his games where he's going to look good. Like the preseason game last week against the Knicks, he had 41. He's going to have games like that. And you're going to be like, oh, wow, look at the talent. But is he going to lead this team, become the franchise player? No, I don't think so. So I'm like, got rid of Bill. That's all I care about.
I want to tell you what I want to give everybody an opportunity to tell you what they said about the Jordan Poole acquisition. I'm gonna start with Rodney first.
Boo! It does not help them, but at the same time, I don't know if it's gonna hurt them because they're already at the bottom.
That is true. That is true. That is true. But
losing. So
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, Jordan Poole has a lot to do to make himself more of a top 50 player, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Rodney, you're funny
50.
as hell.
Going 50.
You're funny as hell, Rodney.
Consistency.
What you say, Zito?
I said Rodney is funny. Rodney is funny as hell.
Yeah.
I said. You want me to say give that man something?
Nah, that man is nah. Yeah,
so I'm giving 50.
That's one hell of a compliment. I'm just letting you know.
And then yeah, Rodney. Also, you're kind of cutting in and out. Is that my side, or is he?
No, that's just you. That's just you.
There's Jesus. Okay. But I don't. They really do need to blow it up completely and start over. Because basically wasting Kuzma's, I guess, his prime that he could probably help somebody. I don't know if he's even reached his prime or he's very well past it, honestly. But he does give you something that you can put on a court that can help a contender somewhere.
So it's interesting you said that they should blow it up. Because I'm not going to take credit for this theory, but there's a guy named Josh Robbins who is the beat writer for the Wizards for The Athletic. He wrote about this summer, and the Wizards' new general manager, his name is Will Dawkins, right?
Yeah.
Will Dawkins was the assistant general manager with Oklahoma City, right? So you go back a couple of years ago, the Wizards are following a very similar pattern to rebuilding. Remember when they had PG-13, they had Westbrook, and they had Carmelo Anthony, right? And that after that season, they got knocked out of the playoffs. They traded PG to LA, and then Westbrook went right after that. They kind of blew it up, right? But they didn't completely blow it up. They got Chris Paul that following year or that summer, right? And then they end up making the playoffs that year. And then after that point, they blew it up. So what his argument was that it looks like they're kind of doing something similar where they're slowly kind of building assets. They're drafting players, developing them, and they're getting picks along the way. But then they got Poole here. And then maybe at some point, you just re-sign Kuzma. You're going to eventually trade those guys away, get some more assets, and then you're going to be in a full rebuild. So I think they're in like a semi-rebuild at this point, and they're going to eventually go into a full rebuild once they kind of figure out where they're going to move everybody.
I got you. I feel you.
I think that can make sense. Yeah. I don't know if it will work though, because OKC had assets on top of assets of other teams, whereas the Wizards, if that's their logic, they couldn't have started it off any more idiotic. You trade Bradley Beal to Phoenix, and what assets did you get for it?
That's mainly due to the fact that they decided it would be a good idea to give him a no trade clause.
Okay. All right. That's fine. What did you get for Kristaps?
Not
nearly as much as you probably should have got, right?
Yeah.
They got a high five. That's what they got.
Say it again.
They got a high five.
Yeah, no, for real. They got it. You gave us Kristaps? Thank you. That's what they got. And then you get Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And what did you get for Chris Paul? Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
Hey, that's actually a decent trade. Not gonna lie to you. That's decent.
Yeah.
Zeno.
Go ahead, Marcus.
No, it was not a good trade. Because if I could have, especially when you find out that Chris Paul could have been traded from Washington, he could have been traded to Chicago for 2 second-round picks. I would have took that over this shit. Because what draft assets did you get for any three of those? Bradley Beal, fine. Kristaps, stupid. Chris Paul, if you could have got 2 second-round picks for him, stupid as well. Because now you stuck with Jordan Poole, who just got the bag from Golden State, and now you picked up that bag, and now you're going to have to watch him try. So you're going to be in purgatory. And how often, Zeno, do we talk about how purgatory is the worst thing that NBA teams can be in? Charlotte was in it with Kemba.
Yeah.
Washington was in it with John Wall.
And no. I disagree.
Washington Wizards were in it with John Wall. They were in it with Bradley Beal, and now they're in it with whatever the hell they got. Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, you pick.
I disagree with the Washington Wizards, because with the John Wall and Bradley Beal, they were actually developing into something great. I was gonna say they were gonna be like not just below a contending team, just below that, like a good to great team that could probably reach the second round. That's not a purgatory team. That's just a good to great playoff team. I think that you're also missing context on the Hornets with Kemba. The reason why they were a purgatory team isn't because they didn't have assets, isn't because of Kemba, it's because they kept missing on their draft picks. They kept missing. That was the reason why.
I didn't say that. I didn't add context, because what I'm saying is what I was speaking on wasn't about why they were in purgatory. I said the main thing that you and me preach about, which is the worst thing in the NBA, is being an NBA purgatory. Agreed. And Washington is currently in purgatory, just like Charlotte was. Regardless of the reason, they were in purgatory, correct?
Agreed.
All right. So Washington right now being in purgatory, why are you making these moves with the intent of having a slow rebuild? They're not making the playoffs. The Washington Wizards this year are not a playoff team. They're not a play-in team. So now you're going to accidentally win games like you did up against Memphis. You're going to accidentally win games due to you being too good to be losers and too bad to be winners. That's the worst thing that you could ask of, and the front office basically just did it to themselves for no good reason because they had all of the assets in their hands, in the palm of their hands, to be able to have a smart rebuild immediately. Immediately.
You got the
so I wanted to chime in about something that Gino said, because I think the point that he made, it set up this, everything we're talking about, the purgatory, everything, is the no trade clause, right? Because
exactly
it gave Bill like the type of leverage that no player, I will argue, maybe in history, has had within having a contract. Now, someone that's a free agent, like LeBron, Michael Jordan, those players have power, but somebody that's already had a signed contract and having the level of power he had, it's just unprecedented. And so with that said, there are some things that I think are important to note with that no trade clause. So his agent, which I think his name is Mark Barterstein, son is the CEO of the Phoenix Suns, right? Yep. So you can see the connection right there that allowed him to kind of dictate, hey, I'm going to go to the Phoenix Suns. And really the Wizards, because the front office they currently have inherited this mess, they really didn't have leverage. It's not like they can say, well, you know what, you're not going to go there, because he can reject pretty much any trade that he wanted at that point. And so at that point, they really had to accept whatever Phoenix was willing to offer. But there is one underlying thing that's important too with that trade that did happen, is they did get pick swaps. So every other year, starting 2024, I believe, they're going to get pick swaps, and it goes every other year till like 2030. So whoever has the lower picks between Phoenix and the Wizards will get the higher pick. So if Phoenix ends up bottoming out at some point where like Durant gets hurt or he retires or something like that happens, the Wizards are going to get their picks until 2030. So it on the surface, it doesn't look like a great trade, but I think given the circumstances, the front office did about as good as they possibly did.
Can you speak on the Kristaps trade though?
Yeah, that one's complicated because he could have walked, right? He actually had a player option, and the rumors was he's going to opt out and he was just going to go as a free agent. But the reality was he wasn't going to get the money that he was going to get for this year if he opted into his contract. So opting in, he's on the last year of his deal. Yes, he had a good year, but he has a huge injury history. I don't think they thought they could get a lot for him value-wise. So although I think, yes, maybe they could have got more, there's not a lot of teams that are going to go and trade like a first-round pick for Kristaps because that injury history. And also, he's a very difficult player to use. And Boston's going to find this out. He's not somebody you can post up. He's not somebody that's an elite defense player. He's a good defensive player. It's going to be challenging to really use him and leverage him the way they want to. I personally, if I was Boston, I would have kept Robert Williams, but we're going to see how it plays out.
Hey, I want you, Marcus. Could you you said one thing that I wanted you to repeat? Could you repeat the issue with Kristaps, please?
You
repeat one more time.
Are you talking about injury history? Is
sorry, I couldn't hear that. One more time. Sorry. One more time. What did he say?
He's injury prone.
What injury prone? He's not.
What did you hear, Justin?
He's not injury. He's not injury prone.
A Washington Wizards writer even says he is injury prone.
Justin, I don't care. Justin, okay, Kristaps. Okay, Kristaps year last year. How many games did he play?
I'll tell you.
He played 61. No, he played 65.
And that's probably I believe my memory serves.
65.
He's only played
he played 60
games like three times in his career before.
Say it again?
Yes, he's played 65 or more games 3 times in his career. You are completely correct. Yes.
So that's not really saying much, unfortunately.
Okay. He had.
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah.
doing this again. Anyway, I'm not doing it again. It's a long running argument between me and Zeno for like the last like month or so that Kristaps, I believe Kristaps is far more healthier than you guys are leading on. Saying that he's injury prone. I don't believe he's injury prone. I think he doesn't play because of circumstances like in Washington, not Washington, in Dallas. Some of the times that he didn't play had nothing to do with his health. Had more to do with his issues with the head coach, Rick Carlisle, and how Rick Carlisle wasn't playing him the way he wanted to be played. He wanted more post-ups. He gets some Washington, and what does he develop? A post game. He's a quality post game.
Marcus, I think you need to talk some sense into this.
I don't think he has a post game. I mean, Daryl, I know you go to a lot of those games. Like when I watch him, you know, he can't back anybody down. If he gets post position, a lot of times he has a bigger, stronger defender on him. They'll push him away from the basket, and he'll rely on just shooting over top of players. That's what I see. I don't know.
That's why I saw a lot
isn't that kind of a post game though that you're able?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he still has
shoulder.
It's not your traditional. It's not Kristaps isn't your traditional post player like a Hakeem or like a Shaq or something like that. That they have the brute strength, well, not brute strength, but they have the physical ability to be able to back you down or to get position like consistently. But Kristaps has more of a post game than most bigs these days, who are more face up.
So let me ask you this: if you have a player at his size and you push him further away from the basket, aren't you kind of negating the advantage he has? Because if he's close to the basket and he can shoot over the guy that is guarding him, then he has an easier shot. But if you push him further away, it's a harder shot.
Well, first off, I disagree with the logic of him getting pushed away consistently from the rim. I've seen instances where he'll be pushed to like, let's say like, he'll be pushed to like, if he's at the block, he'll be pushed to like, let's say the elbow of the free throw line to get the ball. And then and that's still at 7'3", a proper position for him to be able to like get off like a fadeaway or to be able to post in a little bit, to be able to get a quality hook shot in. Like he still has those abilities to do it because he's so tall. So even fair enough, him getting pushed away, that is like a knock to him being like an elite post player or anything like that. All I'm speaking on, he developed a good quality post game that you don't see from other players, because even if you push him out the way, he's still at 7'3", long enough to be able to rise up over you, or he can he can push you back, let's say 2 inches, which gets him close enough for him to be able to hit a hook shot, which I've seen him be able to do. So that's what I mean when I say he's developed a post game. Mixing that in with also still being a reliable 3-point shooter, because I think last year he shot 38% from the 3-point line on 5 attempts. That's fantastic, especially for his size. I think he's also a great free throw shooter. He shoots like 85% routinely from the free throw line. So he gets to the line. Last year he got to the line 6.4 times. Zeno, you tell me, that sounds like a great offensive piece right there. So I think he developed very much properly as far as like his finishing game in Washington. And so fair enough, if you feel like durability is a concern, in all seriousness, I think that's okay to have that conversation. I just don't think he's nearly as injury prone as this guy makes it seem. I think he's proven last year that he can play 65 games given the proper minutes. He only played 32 minutes last year. Given the proper minutes and playing in a proper role, which it looks like Boston is going to have him play, I think he can be far more useful and durable in that setting.
Going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be, and this year he's looking like he's getting right back on what he was last year. He shot 15 shots last year. He shot 13.5 so far in the 2 games, 51%, 51, 46, 85 splits. He's looking fantastic. He's looking fantastic. But side note, I do want to say this. This is one revelation I found from these 2 games. Zeno, we need to start understanding. Jason Tatum is an amazing rebounder. He's a better rebounder than Kristaps. I don't know if that's news to people, but Jason Tatum is a better rebounder than Kristaps.
He's been a good rebounder for the past 2.
No, not good. He's a great.
No, I mean, he's been at this level for the past 2 seasons max. Like,
Yeah,
he's been doing that since. I have noticed this since probably around Ime.
Yeah, I didn't realize it until I watched that New York Knicks game. He's a better rebounder than Kristaps. Yeah, it's crazy out here. But okay. So I got one more question before we head out because I need to go ahead and get ready. What is your thought process on the first 2 games for the Washington Wizards?
So to me, I think there's some things that were kind of glaringly obvious about the team going into the season. First of all, their size is just, it's not there. You know, we're talking about Porzingis. Actually, you know, they basically replaced Porzingis with having, you know, Daniel Gafford being a starter. And, you know, Daniel Gafford, he can be good in the right matchup, right? So, you know, he's a little slight. He gets pushed around a lot. And that's going to be a challenge when you're going against some of those bigger teams. And Indiana's, you know, got a really tall team. They're very lanky in size when you got, you know, people like Miles Turner out there who will give, you know, someone like Gafford problems. But like with Memphis last night, much smaller team, especially without Steven Adams, you saw he can be effective. And I think the 2 games were kind of like a contrast where you see the team can be good when they're matched up against someone that can't necessarily take advantage of their lack of size. The other thing that I think was important too, and you saw that last night, is they are really trying to change their philosophy of how they're running their offense. They're really trying to get out and play at a faster pace and shoot threes. You saw that a lot last night. They weren't shooting really well to start out the game, but because they were consistently getting shots, so they eventually start hitting them. And that really gave them enough to kind of hold off Memphis. So I think those are the 2 things that are going to really stand out this season, is how they're going to deal with their lack of size and their change of pace on offense, how that's going to be able to keep them in games.
Yeah, I also want to ask the other 2 people that be paying attention to Washington basketball, just like yourself, Marcus, Daryl and Rod. What are the 2 takeaways you take from Washington for the first 2 games of the season?
Don't really watch Washington basketball.
Well, shit, he should. Shit, he's in there. He's there.
What that got to do with anything?
Like, right, you don't watch.
I'm not involved in this at all. Don't put me in this foolishness. Oh,
just
yeah,
Rodney's over here doing
All right.
Daryl go to the games.
Daryl does go to the games. Daryl, how do you feel about the first 2 games of Washington basketball?
Honestly, I can honestly give you my reaction from the first game because I did watch the Pacers one. I unfortunately did not have the luxury to go to last night's game because I had work. But from what I saw, that game against the Pacers was atrocious. Like, that was probably, when I saw that first game, my instinct was like, you know, if this is how they're going to play for the season, then they might as well just be expecting to get the number 1 overall pick, because there was like you know how we talked about in the offseason about teams having an identity. There was no identity. There's no identity for Washington. And if people are believing that Poole is, you know, supposed to be the next guy, I don't believe so. If they think it's Kuzma's you know, I think Kuzma's a good player, but they're still missing, you know, a piece there. I think they're really missing veteran leadership over there as well too, because there's not one veteran over there that can really help control that team. Like if you were to have a Chris Paul or a Derrick Rose on your team to help, the only veteran they really have is Taj Gibson. Gibson don't even touch the floor. And honestly, shoot, people probably thought Taj Gibson retired by now, but I think that's one of the biggest things they have going for them right now. So yeah, they won and beat Memphis, but Memphis isn't having a good start either. But most likely, to me, the Wizards probably are going to be like in the very bottom of the East.
And that's and to be honest with you, that is what you said about how the Wizards philosophy seems to be more 3-point heavy. That's really what I noticed was the fact that wow, like they are hell bent on getting these shots up. Like against the Memphis Grizzlies, they were shooting so many threes that Jordan Poole felt confident enough to shoot a three and feel like he was Steph and look away.
I think that came from because the game against the Pacers, he went 0 for 5. So once the second half started, he just stopped shooting the three. And you started to see a lot. The Wizards turned the ball over a lot because they were hesitant on shooting because it was like the three's not working for us. So they're forcing stuff, which I feel like what was told to them coming into game 2 was like, hey, shoot the shot if it's open. Don't be scared. So I think that's why they just went ahead and was like, you know what, we shooting everything that we see.
Yeah, I think it was that. And I also think I think the coach probably told them, if you don't shoot, you sitting down tonight. If you don't shoot, you sitting down tonight. Because when you think about the way that they played against Indiana versus the way they played against Memphis, it was like night and day as far as like the trigger that they were shooting at. Like they were tapping the shit out that trigger. They was trying to get them shots up. So like I feel like the Memphis game is probably an accurate depiction of who Memphis is going. Not Memphis, who Washington is going to be as a team. They're going to be shot heavy. They're going to try to play defense while not being very good at it. And Wes Unseld Jr. What's your feeling on that, Marco?
Man.
I'm not the only one.
I know a lot. I know a lot of fans. They defend him. I love his pedigree. I mean, it's Wes Unseld. Like you can't, as like a Wizard / Bullets fan, like you can't hate on that name. But there is clear evidence that he's not the guy. Like he is not him. Okay, and I will just leave it with this. They had 7 games last year where they had at least a 15-point or more lead, and they lost all those games. Then they had a year before that, they had the infamous game where they had a 35-point lead against the Clippers, lost. I mean, there's clear evidence that he lacks in-game adjustments. His rotations can be suspect at times. I think that he's a good developmental coach. He has a history when he was with Denver. He helped with Jokic and a number of other players in their development. But as a head coach, I do question his in-game strategy and his ability to adjust to what the other teams are doing.
Yes, and I've been saying that for the longest, that I felt like he wasn't. I don't understand why he was picked for the position because truthfully, I think, well, it's Wes Unseld Jr. Like, he's obviously the son of Wes Unseld, so I feel like the Wizards were like, they were like, crap, we got to find a coach in a hurry. So it was like, you know what? We know who he is, and we have history of knowing his father. Let's just pick him up.
And I don't even buy that because that same year where they got Wes Unseld, there was other coaches that just came off the books that were better qualified, like Frank Vogel, for instance.
Yeah, Frank Vogel would have been cooking on this team. Actually, does he really have the defensive pieces?
Daniel Gafford is a good defensive piece to start.
Yes, That's it. But what else? Like you have Kyle Kuzma.
They had Kristaps Porzingis.
Oh, never mind. They had I'm thinking of this year. My fault.
No. They had Kristaps Porzingis around that time that they signed Wes Unseld Jr.
When did they sign him?
They signed Wes Unseld Jr. in 2021.
2021.
The year that they got. No, it was 2020. 2020. The year before they got Russell Westbrook.
I have to check. No, it was you was right. 2021. You was right.
It was the year that Frank Vogel got fired from the Lakers job.
Yeah. So
you would have did perfect.
I'm thinking because I'm looking at the team. Denny Avdia, a good defensive player. That's actually like his calling card is the defensive end while also being a decent passer. You have KCP on that time. Kristaps, Kyle Kuzma. Actually, nah. Frank Vogel would be cooking on this team. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like there were better options then. My whole thing, and me and Daryl have talked about this on the phone a lot of times about Washington Wizards basketball. His point is that the Washington team as a whole is just like it doesn't have a direction. My whole thing is it starts with the front office. They need to wipe that front office clean and start from the top.
Well, that's what they did in all season. Because the previous general manager, Tommy Shepard, who just got let go, which was a complete shock. He was Ernie Grunfeld's right-hand man for pretty much like 20 years or close to it. So this goes all the way back to 2003. You more or less had the same front office for all that time. So they finally got to a point where they said, you know what, enough is enough. We're going to clean this out. They got Michael Winger from the Clippers. He's like the head of basketball operations. And then they got William Dawkins, and they got Travis Schlink from Atlanta, who was the Atlanta general manager that was opposed to the DeJounte Murray trade. If you all remember that whole situation.
And he knows ball. Ball.
Yeah. So I think they got a really good like masthead of basketball minds right now. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But I think they're in a better situation. I did not think Tommy Shepard was the right guy, and it clearly showed with some of the decisions he made.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up for episode 1 of the first week. We still haven't figured out a title for our regular season podcast, so we're gonna definitely figure that shit out. But it's been your boy Casual. It's been Zeno, Daryl, Rod, and our special guest Marcus. Marcus, what art can you let the audience know what article to read of your work?
Yeah,
well, not article, but what website to go to read? You
go to bullsforever.com. My articles are posted there. Like I said, I did a recap last night for the game. And then if you don't see it on there, you also follow me on Twitter where I post a lot of my articles. It's M Atkinson _B-ball on Twitter, and so you can follow me on there as well, and you can get links to my article as well.
Kind of like you said M.
Yeah, like M as in my first name. M Atkinson. So the first letter of my first name, then my last name _B-ball.
Oh, like B-ball Paul. Cool. Karen.
What, nigga? Anyway, thank you so much, Marcus, for joining. He didn't distract me, man. Thank you so much, Marcus, for joining. And we always feel the need to ask the special guests when they join. Would you feel comfortable joining later on in the season?
Absolutely.
Or whenever? Absolutely. Sounds good.
You got Casual smiling and shit. You see, this is a bad idea, man. Bad idea.
Okay, let me. We're gonna go ahead and put your We're gonna put your link in the in the comment section real quick so that the chat can be able to check you out. And by the way, guys, I just want to give a quick shout out to. Oh God, fucked up. By the way, guys, I just want to hold on. Is it here? Okay. By the way, Chad, I just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out. Thank you to Sage for joining the chat, our editor, always showing love and support. Thank you to Akiat Badri. I think I said that right.
Yeah.
I definitely said it better than anybody else could. Thank you to Leaf Diggy, my boy Leaf. Sports PSP. Thank you guys for staying in the chat and keeping us entertained and keeping us having this flowing and stuff like that.
Hey, shout out my boy Darius too, who was
shout out to Darius Boogie
and our editor, the Sage. Shout out to him too.
I said that.
You said that.
I said that too.
Oh. Anyways, carry on.
and for one more time, thank you to Marcus Atkinson. Thank you so much for joining. We hope to have you on later on this season. This is not the last time that we'll be talking to each other with ball. Okay. So any last words from my guys?
Thank everybody for coming out, supporting us. Yes, an hour is not enough.
Hour isn't enough. No,
an hour is never enough.
So we gave you 2.
So we gave you damn near 3.
Yeah, all right, guys. 3 hours of power. I mean, let's move on. Let's go.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace, man.
Peace.
See ya.
That was one hell of a show.